growing belly, a slightly higher creatinine level on your latest blood test, and the feeling that your body simply doesn't have the energy it used to all stem from the same biological story. At first, those problems seem completely unrelated. One appears to be about weight, another about kidney health, and the last about getting older. But over the years, I've realized that many people spend so much time worrying about each issue separately that they never stop to ask whether they might actually be connected. Every week, I hear from adults over 50 who tell me the same frustrating story. They're eating less than they did years ago, yet the extra weight around their waist refuses to disappear. Their arms and legs seem smaller, climbing stairs feels more difficult, and recovering after a long walk takes longer than it used to. Then comes a routine blood test, and one number suddenly captures all of their attention: creatinine. Within days, many begin wondering whether their kidneys are failing, or whether taking creatine could make things even worse. The truth is, those concerns are understandable, but they often focus on only one piece of a much larger picture. Creatinine and creatine may sound almost identical, yet they are not the same thing. More importantly, neither one makes sense unless we first understand what is quietly happening inside aging muscle. As muscle gradually declines, your body becomes less efficient at producing and using energy, your metabolism slows, maintaining a healthy weight becomes more challenging, and everyday movement requires greater effort. That same process can also influence how certain laboratory values are interpreted, making it easy to jump to conclusions without seeing the full picture. If you enjoy learning how the body really works, not through myths, quick fixes, or exaggerated promises, but through practical science you can actually use, I invite you to subscribe and join me each week. Together, we'll explore the biology of healthy aging in a way that's simple, balanced, and easy to understand. Because before we decide whether creatine deserves the praise or the criticism it often receives, we first need to understand the remarkable energy system that quietly powers your muscles, supports your metabolism, and helps explain why aging, belly fat, and creatinine may be more closely connected than most people ever imagine. Your body doesn't just need calories, it needs quick energy. Most people are surprised when I tell them that having enough calories is not the same as having enough usable energy. I've found that this is one of the biggest misunderstandings behind healthy aging. You can eat a nutritious diet, consume enough protein, and even maintain a healthy weight, yet still feel weaker, tire more quickly, and struggle to lose stubborn belly fat. That's because your body doesn't simply need stored energy, it needs energy that can be delivered instantly, exactly when your cells ask for it. Think of it this way: calories are like the electricity coming into your house. They provide the overall energy supply, but they don't instantly power every appliance the moment you switch it on. ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is more like the battery already inside your phone. The second you press the power button, that battery provides immediate energy without waiting. Creatine works much like a portable power bank. It doesn't create energy out of nowhere. Instead, it helps recharge ATP quickly so your cells can continue working when they suddenly need more power. I've always found this comparison helpful because nearly every part of your body depends on that rapid energy system. Your muscles rely on it every time you stand up from a chair, climb a flight of stairs, or carry groceries. Your brain uses it to support concentration and memory, while your heart depends on a constant supply to keep beating every second of your life. Inside your muscles, creatine is stored mainly as phosphocreatine, a natural reserve that donates energy to rebuild ATP within moments whenever demand suddenly increases. You don't need to remember the chemistry. The important point is that this system exists to keep your body moving efficiently. According to the National Institutes of Health Office of Dietary Supplements, approximately 95% of the body's creatine is stored in skeletal muscle, highlighting just how closely creatine is tied to muscle health and energy production rather than simply athletic performance. As muscle gradually declines with age, this rapid energy reserve becomes smaller as well, which may help explain why strength, recovery, metabolism, and even everyday vitality often decline together. That is why the conversation about creatine has never really been about muscles alone. It has always been about the body's ability to produce energy when it matters most. But if creatine helps produce energy so quickly, why do so many adults begin losing muscle and gaining fat at almost the same time? 1. Muscle is your biggest fat-burning organ, even while you rest. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is that losing fat is mostly about doing more cardio, or simply eating fewer calories. That idea sounds logical because when we think about burning fat, we naturally picture running on a treadmill, riding a stationary bike, or taking long walks. Those activities certainly have value, but they don't tell the whole story. What I've learned over the years is that your body doesn't burn the most energy because you have less fat. It burns more energy because you have healthy, active muscle. Think of your muscles as the engine of your body, while body fat is the cargo that engine carries. If you replace a powerful engine with a much smaller one, the vehicle still moves, but it requires less fuel and performs less efficiently. Something very similar happens as we age. Beginning in our 40s and continuing throughout later life, many adults gradually lose muscle without even noticing it. Their weight on the scale may barely change, yet their body composition changes dramatically. Muscle slowly disappears, body fat quietly increases, and everyday movement becomes more difficult. I've found that this shift creates a chain reaction that many people never connect. As muscle mass declines, your body requires less energy throughout the day because muscle is one of the most metabolically active tissues you have. With fewer muscles demanding energy, your body burns fewer calories, even while you're resting, sleeping, or sitting in a chair reading a book. If your eating habits stay about the same, while your daily energy needs slowly decrease, those extra calories have to go somewhere. Over time, they're much more likely to be stored as body fat, especially around the abdomen. This is also where creatine becomes part of a much bigger conversation than simply building muscle. Healthy muscle depends on rapid energy to contract, recover, and adapt. Creatine helps support that rapid energy system, but only when your muscles are being challenged through regular movement and strength training. I've always encouraged people to think of these three habits as partners, rather than separate strategies. Adequate protein provides the building materials, resistance exercise tells your muscles to keep growing stronger, and creatine helps replenish the quick energy needed to support that process. Remove any one of those pieces, and the system becomes less effective. One important point is worth remembering. Creatine is not a substitute for exercise. Taking a supplement while remaining inactive is a little like filling the gas tank of a parked car. The fuel is there, but the engine still has to be turned on before it can do its job. Have you noticed that maintaining your weight became harder after 50, even though you're eating about the same? Let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear about your experience. But muscles aren't the only tissues that depend on rapid energy. The organ that surprises most people may actually be using far more of it than they ever imagined. 2. Your brain uses more energy than you think. Another idea that surprises many people is that creatine isn't just connected to muscles. Over the years, I've found that one of the most overlooked parts of this conversation is the brain. Although it makes up only a small percentage of your body weight, your brain is constantly consuming energy every second of the day. It never truly takes a break. Whether you're remembering a name, following a conversation, making decisions, maintaining your balance, or simply concentrating on a book, billions of brain cells are continuously producing and using ATP to keep those processes running smoothly. As we grow older, however, the demands placed on this remarkable system often increase. I've seen many adults describe the same experience. They sleep fewer hours than they used to, deal with ongoing stress, recover more slowly after busy days, and notice that mental fatigue seems to arrive much earlier than it once did. These changes don't necessarily mean the brain is failing. In many cases, they simply reflect that maintaining normal function requires more effort than before. Just like an older car may still drive well, but work harder climbing the same hill, the aging brain often needs to manage its energy more carefully. One comparison I like to use is a backup generator. Imagine your home suddenly needs extra electricity because several large appliances are running at the same time. A reliable generator helps supply additional power during those moments of higher demand, allowing everything to continue operating smoothly. Creatine works in a similar way inside the body's rapid energy system. Rather than stimulating the brain or creating new energy, it helps recycle ATP more efficiently so cells can respond quickly when energy demands suddenly rise. That's why researchers continue to study creatine as a nutrient involved in cellular energy support, especially during periods of greater physical or mental demand. It's important to keep this idea in perspective. A healthy brain doesn't automatically require additional creatine simply because a person is getting older. Energy needs vary from one individual to another depending on lifestyle, activity level, diet, sleep quality, and overall health. That's why I always encourage people to build the strongest possible foundation before thinking about any supplement. Prioritize consistent sleep, stay well hydrated, move your body every day, and include regular strength training, along with a balanced diet. Those habits support the same energy system that creatine is designed to assist, and without them, no supplement can do the heavy lifting on its own. The next connection surprises many people because it explains why losing muscle often makes losing fat even harder. 3. Why losing muscle makes belly fat easier to to gain. Something I've noticed time and time again is that many adults become discouraged because they believe they're doing everything right. They're eating smaller portions, trying to avoid desserts, and even walking more often, yet the fat around their waist continues to grow. It's easy to assume that the problem is a lack of willpower or simply a slower metabolism. In reality, one of the biggest changes may be happening where they can't see it at all, inside their muscles. I've found that body composition tells a much more important story than body weight alone. Two people can step on the scale and weigh exactly the same, yet one has more muscle and less body fat, while the other has gradually replaced muscle with fat over the years. The scale treats those two bodies as identical, but biologically, they function very differently. This is why focusing only on body weight can sometimes hide the changes that matter most. A simple way to picture this is to imagine your muscles as a large warehouse. Every time you eat, especially foods containing carbohydrates, your body needs somewhere to store and use that incoming energy. Healthy muscle acts like a spacious, well-organized warehouse that eagerly accepts glucose and puts it to work. But as muscle mass gradually declines with age, that warehouse becomes smaller. There is less storage space and less demand for incoming fuel. Over time, the body's sensitivity to insulin can begin to decline, making it more difficult for glucose to move efficiently into muscle cells. Instead of being used for movement and daily activity, more of those extra calories are likely to be stored as body fat, particularly around the abdomen. This helps explain why losing muscle and gaining belly fat often happen together rather than separately. They are not two unrelated problems. They're often different signs of the same underlying shift in body composition and energy metabolism. That's also why preserving muscle is about much more than looking stronger. It plays an important role in helping your body manage energy more efficiently throughout the day. One habit I consistently recommend is adding resistance training 2 or 3 times each week. It doesn't have to involve heavy weights or long workouts. Resistance bands, bodyweight exercises, light dumbbells, or simple chair-assisted movements can all provide the signal your muscles need to stay active. Combined with adequate protein and, when appropriate, creatine, these habits work together to support healthy muscle over time. Perhaps the most important lesson I've learned is this: the number on your bathroom scale does not tell you how much muscle you've kept or how much body fat you've gained. Weight and body composition are not the same thing, and understanding that difference can completely change the way you measure progress. If this connection between muscle and belly fat surprised you, take a moment to press the like button. It helps more people discover information that could change the way they think about healthy aging. But aging affects more than muscles and metabolism. It also changes how quickly your body recovers. 4. Recovery is the hidden key to healthy aging. Another important lesson I've learned is that healthy aging isn't determined only by how hard you exercise. Just as important is how well your body recovers afterward. Many people assume that if they feel sore or tired for 2 or 3 days after a workout, it's simply because they're getting older. Age certainly plays a role, but that's only part of the story. Recovery is actually an active biological process that requires an enormous amount of energy, and without enough available energy, your body struggles to repair, rebuild, and adapt. Think about what happens after a strength workout, or even a long day of gardening, walking, or carrying heavy grocery bags. Tiny amounts of stress are placed on your muscles. That isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's exactly what encourages your body to become stronger. But improvement doesn't happen during the activity itself. It happens afterward, when your body begins repairing those muscle fibers and preparing them to handle similar challenges more efficiently the next time. Every step of that repair process depends on ATP, the rapid energy currency we've been talking about throughout this video. One comparison I often use is a road repair crew. Imagine a busy highway that develops small cracks every day from constant traffic. If the repair crew arrives each night with enough workers, equipment, and materials, those cracks are fixed before they become dangerous potholes. Traffic continues moving smoothly, and the road remains strong for years. But if the crew has fewer resources or can't keep up with the workload, the damage slowly accumulates. Small cracks become larger, repairs take longer, and eventually the road begins to deteriorate. Your muscles recover in much the same way. The better your body can restore energy and repair tissue, the better it adapts to everyday physical demands. This is why I encourage people to think beyond exercise alone. Recovery is supported by several habits working together. Eating enough high-quality protein after physical activity gives your muscles the building blocks they need to repair themselves. Prioritizing consistent, restorative sleep allows many of the body's repair processes to occur efficiently overnight. And when creatine is appropriate for an individual, taking it consistently, not occasionally, helps maintain the rapid energy system that supports those recovery processes over time. None of these habits works as well in isolation. Together, they create an environment where your body can adapt instead of simply wearing down. One important thing to remember is that recovery naturally becomes slower with age. That doesn't mean improvement is impossible. It simply means your body often needs more intentional support than it did 20 or 30 years ago. Understanding that difference can help replace frustration with realistic expectations and smarter daily habits. There is one final reason creatine has attracted so much attention in aging research, and it has less to do with muscles than most people realize. 5. Creatine isn't an anti-aging pill, it's an energy partner. Perhaps the biggest misunderstanding I'd like to clear up is this: creatine is not an anti-aging pill. It cannot stop the clock, reverse the aging process, or guarantee a longer life. I've seen many products marketed with promises that sound almost too good to be true, and that's exactly where unrealistic expectations begin. Healthy aging has never depended on a single supplement. Instead, it depends on supporting the biological systems that naturally become less efficient over time, and that's where creatine has earned so much scientific attention. What fascinates me is that creatine doesn't work by forcing your body to do something unnatural. Instead, it supports one of the most fundamental processes in human biology, the rapid regeneration of ATP, the energy your cells need every moment of the day. Because nearly every movement, every muscle contraction, and every repair process depends on ATP, maintaining that energy system becomes increasingly important as we grow older. This is why creatine research extends far beyond athletic performance. Scientists are interested in how supporting cellular energy may help maintain muscle function, physical performance, and recovery as the body ages naturally. One comparison I often share is that creatine is like a backup battery for your home. A backup battery doesn't replace the electrical grid, nor does it generate unlimited power. What it does is provide reliable support when demand suddenly increases or when your primary energy supply needs extra assistance. Your body works in a similar way. Good nutrition provides the raw materials. Sleep restores many of the systems that keep you healthy. Physical activity tells your muscles to stay active and adapt. Creatine simply helps support the rapid energy system that allows those healthy habits to work more efficiently. Without the foundation, however, even the best backup battery has very little to support. That's why I've always believed consistency matters far more than chasing quick results. Many people wonder whether taking a large amount of creatine for a few days will produce dramatic changes. In reality, supporting your body's energy system is much more like saving for retirement than winning the lottery. Small, steady habits practiced over months and years almost always produce greater benefits than short periods of intense effort followed by inconsistency. Most importantly, I never want anyone to think of supplements as replacements for healthy living. They are exactly what their name suggests: a supplement to habits that are already moving you in the right direction. Regular strength training, adequate protein, restorative sleep, daily movement, and balanced nutrition remain the foundation of healthy aging. Creatine may support that foundation, but it cannot build it by itself. If you've learned something new today, consider sharing this video with someone who's trying to stay healthy, strong, and active after 50. A simple conversation today could help someone make better decisions about their health for years to come. So what does all of this look like in everyday life? 6. 5 daily habits that help your body use energy more efficiently. Throughout this video, I've tried to show that healthy aging isn't about chasing miracle solutions. It's about giving your body the conditions it needs to keep producing energy, maintaining muscle, and recovering efficiently. The good news is that you don't need to overhaul your entire lifestyle overnight. In my experience, a handful of consistent daily habits can make a much bigger difference than dramatic changes that are impossible to maintain. The first habit is to prioritize protein at breakfast. After a full night's sleep, your muscles have gone several hours without receiving amino acids. Starting your morning with a protein-rich meal instead of a breakfast made mostly of refined carbohydrates helps provide the building blocks your muscles need while supporting steadier energy throughout the day. The second habit is to include resistance training at least 2 or 3 times each week. You don't need an expensive gym membership or heavy weights. Resistance bands, light dumbbells, body weight exercises, or even chair-assisted movements can all provide the signal your muscles need to stay active and strong as you age. The third habit is to stay physically active throughout the day, rather than relying on one workout to do all the work. I've found that standing up regularly, walking for a few minutes, taking the stairs, or doing light household activities helps keep your muscles engaged and your body's energy system working consistently from morning to evening. The fourth habit is to think carefully about creatine if it fits your individual situation. Adults over 50, especially those who follow vegetarian or mostly plant-based eating patterns, may benefit from discussing creatine supplementation with a qualified healthcare professional who understands their overall health and personal goals. A thoughtful conversation is always more valuable than following trends on the internet. Finally, measure progress by looking beyond the bathroom scale. Pay attention to your strength, your balance, your energy levels, how easily you recover after activity, and whether your waist circumference is changing over time. Those improvements often tell a much more meaningful story than body weight alone. If someone you care about is trying to stay strong, active, and independent as they grow older, this is one video worth sharing. Sometimes a single new perspective is all it takes to completely change the way we think about aging and the choices we make every day. Healthy aging is about preserving energy, not chasing youth. As we come to the end of this video, I hope you'll remember one simple idea above everything else. Healthy aging isn't just about adding more years to life, it's about helping your body continue producing and using energy so you can keep living the life you enjoy. The ability to climb stairs without hesitation, carry groceries with confidence, play with your grandchildren, travel comfortably, or simply get out of a chair with ease, all begins with the same foundation we've discussed today. Healthy muscles supported by a healthy energy system. I've never believed that creatine is the hero of this story. Your daily habits are. Creatine may support the body's natural energy processes when it's appropriate, but it can never replace the decisions you make every single day. Every balanced meal rich in protein, every walk around the neighborhood, every strength training session, every good night's sleep, and every choice to keep moving is another investment in the future version of yourself. Perhaps the most encouraging part is that muscle isn't something you stop thinking about after middle age. It's something worth protecting for the rest of your life because it supports far more than physical strength. It helps power your metabolism, supports recovery, contributes to healthy movement, and plays an important role in maintaining the independence that so many of us value as we grow older. You don't need to become younger to age well. You simply need to give your body the support it needs to keep doing the things that matter most. Small, consistent choices may seem ordinary today, but over months and years, they can help preserve your strength, your confidence, and your quality of life in ways that are truly meaningful. If this video helped you see the connection between creatine, aging, muscle, and fat loss from a new perspective, I'd truly appreciate it if you gave it a like and subscribed for more science-based videos designed to help you stay healthy and independent after 50. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What surprised you most about the connection between creatine, aging, and fat loss?
That's the end of video, and if you think is helpful for you, please subscribing, sharing, and dropping the comment below.
For many people, kidney disease is something that happens to someone else. It sounds like a condition that would announce itself with severe pain, dramatic symptoms, or a medical emergency that is impossible to ignore. But your kidneys don't usually work that way. In fact, they are remarkably quiet organs. They can lose a surprising amount of function while continuing to do their job behind the scenes, giving you little reason to think anything is wrong. Instead of shouting, your kidneys tend to whisper. They may whisper through an extra trip to the bathroom in the middle of the night, through socks that leave deeper marks around your ankles than they used to, through food that suddenly doesn't taste quite right, or a level of tiredness that sleep never seems to fix. Most people brush these changes off as normal aging, stress, or simply getting older. And that's exactly why so many early warning signs are overlooked. The truth is that your body often notices kidney problems long before you do. Every day, your kidneys filter your blood, balance minerals, regulate fluids, support healthy blood production, and help keep many other systems working together. When they begin to struggle, the fermi beyond. Appear where most people expect. They often show up in small, everyday changes that seem unrelated at first glance. In this video, we're going to explore 12 of the most common signs that your kidneys may be asking for attention. More importantly, you'll learn why each sign happens, what it may be telling you about your body, and when it's worth taking a closer look. Some of these changes may surprise you because they have very little to do with the kidneys themselves. If learning the science behind healthy aging in a clear and practical way is important to you, consider subscribing and joining our community. Every week we break down complex health topics into simple, evidence-based information designed to help you make confident decisions for yourself and the people you love. So before you assume that every new ache, habit, or change is simply part of getting older, let's take a closer look at the quiet signals your kidneys may already be sending and why recognizing them early could make a meaningful difference for your long-term health. Why small, everyday changes can reveal big kidney problems. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is that unhealthy kidneys should cause obvious pain. In reality, that is rarely how the body works. Your kidneys are incredibly resilient. Even when part of their filtering ability begins to decline, they often compensate by working harder with the healthy tissue that remains. Because of this built-in backup system, many people continue their normal routines without realizing that important changes are already taking place beneath the surface. The National Kidney Foundation estimates that 1 in 3 American adults is at risk for kidney disease, yet many people do not recognize warning signs until a significant amount of kidney function has already been lost. That is why paying attention to small, everyday changes can be far more valuable than waiting for dramatic symptoms to appear. What makes the kidneys so remarkable is that they do much more than simply remove waste from the body. I like to think of them as the master control center for your internal environment. Every minute, they carefully adjust the amount of water your body keeps, balance minerals such as sodium and potassium, regulate important hormones, support healthy red blood cell production, and remove waste products that would otherwise build up in your bloodstream. When this delicate system begins to struggle, the effects can quietly spread throughout the entire body long before your kidneys themselves ever hurt. Imagine the water filtration system in your home. If the filter starts to fail, the first problem is not just dirty water. Over time, mineral deposits clog the pipes, water pressure changes, appliances wear out faster, and eventually, the entire plumbing system begins to suffer. Your kidneys work in much the same way. When they cannot maintain the body's internal balance, the earliest clues often appear in your sleep, your skin, your muscles, your appetite, or even the taste of your food. Understanding these subtle signals is the first step toward protecting your kidneys before more serious damage has a chance to develop. Now let's begin with one of the earliest and most commonly overlooked changes that many people simply assume is a normal part of aging. 1. You wake up more than once to urinate at night. One of the first changes I encourage people to pay attention to has nothing to do with pain. Instead, it happens while you're trying to get a good night's sleep. Many people assume that waking up several times to urinate simply means they drank too much water before bed. Sometimes that's true, but if it becomes a regular pattern, I start thinking about how well the kidneys are concentrating urine rather than how much urine they are making. Healthy kidneys respond to a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, which signals them to conserve water overnight. Instead of sending large amounts of diluted urine to the bladder, they concentrate it so you can sleep for hours without interruption. When kidney function begins to decline, this ability often weakens. Imagine an old kitchen sponge that has lost its elasticity. No matter how much water it absorbs, it simply can't hold on to it the way it once could. Your kidneys can behave in a similar way, allowing more water to pass into the urine instead of keeping it where your body needs it. A simple habit worth trying is to avoid drinking large amounts of fluids during the 2 hours before bedtime. However, if you're still waking up multiple times each night despite making that change, it's worth discussing with your healthcare provider. Keep in mind that nighttime urination is not always caused by kidney problems. An enlarged prostate, diabetes, certain medications, or sleep disorders can produce the same symptom, which is why it's important not to jump to conclusions based on this sign alone. But nighttime trips to the bathroom aren't the only clue your kidneys may be sending. 2. Your ankles leave sock marks that stay too long. Another change I never ignore is something many people notice every evening without giving it much thought. After taking off your socks, do the marks around your ankles disappear within a few minutes, or do they linger much longer than they used to? While temporary sock impressions can be completely normal after a long day on your feet, deeper marks that become more noticeable over time may be your body's quiet way of telling you that it's having trouble managing fluid balance. One of the kidney's most important jobs is keeping fluid exactly where it belongs. A protein called albumin plays a major role in this process by helping hold water inside your blood vessels. When damaged kidney filters allow albumin to leak into the urine, less of it remains in the bloodstream. Without enough albumin acting like a sponge, fluid begins to drift into the surrounding tissues. Gravity then pulls that extra fluid downward throughout the day, making the ankles and lower legs one of the first places where these subtle changes become visible. Here's a simple self-check I often recommend. In the evening, gently press your thumb against the front of your lower shin for about 5 seconds, then release it. Compare what you notice with how your legs look first thing in the morning. If the indentation or swelling becomes more obvious as the day goes on or continues to worsen over time, it's worth paying closer attention and discussing it with a healthcare professional. But your kidneys don't just influence where fluid collects, they can also change what your urine looks like long before you feel sick. 3. Your urine looks different than it used to. One of the simplest health checks I encourage people to make doesn't require special equipment or expensive testing. It simply requires paying attention to something you see every day. Many people only look for foamy urine, but I believe it's just as important to notice whether your urine has become consistently cloudier than usual, develops persistent foam, or changes color without an obvious explanation, such as certain foods or medications. These subtle differences may reflect changes in how effectively your kidneys are filtering your blood. Healthy kidneys act like incredibly precise filters. They allow waste products and extra water to pass through while keeping valuable substances, including proteins and blood cells, safely inside your bloodstream. When those tiny filters begin to lose their precision, substances that, for many people, kidney disease in the blood can escape into the urine, while inflammation or other changes may alter its appearance. I often compare this process to a coffee filter with a small tear. At first, you may barely notice anything unusual, but before long, coffee grounds begin slipping through, changing what ends up in your cup. In much the same way, damaged kidney filters may no longer separate what should stay from what should leave. Although changes in urine can have many causes, including dehydration or urinary tract infections, persistent changes deserve attention rather than assumptions. If your urine continues to look noticeably different for several days or is accompanied by discomfort or blood, it's worth having it evaluated. But even before your urine changes, your muscles may already be responding to shifts that are happening deep inside your kidneys. 4. Your legs cramp more often at night. Few things are more frustrating than finally getting comfortable in bed, only to be awakened by a sudden, painful cramp in your calf or foot. Many people immediately assume they need more magnesium, and while low magnesium can certainly play a role, it is far from the only explanation. When nighttime leg cramps become more frequent, I also think about whether the kidneys are still doing their job of maintaining the body's delicate balance of electrolytes. Every second of the day, your muscles depend on carefully balanced levels of minerals such as potassium, calcium, magnesium, and sodium. Your kidneys constantly adjust these levels, making tiny corrections that allow nerves and muscles to communicate smoothly. As kidney function begins to decline, this balance can become less stable. The result isn't always dramatic at first. Sometimes the earliest clue is simply that your muscles become more irritable, especially at night when your body's resting, and those small imbalances become easier to notice. I like to compare this to a television remote with weak batteries. The remote may still work, but the signal becomes inconsistent. Sometimes it responds perfectly, and other times you have to press the button several times before anything happens. Your muscles behave in a similar way. When electrolyte levels drift out of balance, the communication between nerves and muscle fibers becomes less reliable, making unexpected cramps more likely. If these cramps become persistent, especially if they occur alongside other changes we've discussed, it's worth looking beyond magnesium alone and considering whether your kidney function and electrolyte levels should also be evaluated. But your muscles aren't the only part of your body that can react to waste building up. Sometimes, your skin begins sending its own quiet warning long before you realize what's happening. 5. Your skin feels itchy, even without a rash. Persistent itching can be one of the most confusing symptoms because, in many cases, your skin looks completely normal. There may be no visible rash, no insect bite, and no obvious allergy to explain why you constantly feel the urge to scratch. Whenever I hear about itching that seems to affect large areas of the body, especially if it becomes worse at night, I don't just think about the skin itself. I also think about what may be happening inside the bloodstream. Healthy kidneys remove thousands of waste products every single day. When they begin to lose that ability, some of these substances gradually build up in the body. Instead of directly damaging the skin, they can irritate the tiny nerve endings responsible for transmitting the sensation of itch. That's why the discomfort often feels as though it's coming from beneath the surface rather than from the skin itself. I like to compare it to smoke slowly filling a house. You may not see thick clouds in every room, but before long, your eyes begin to sting, your throat feels irritated, and you become increasingly uncomfortable. The smoke isn't attacking the walls of the house, it's affecting the environment inside it. In much the same way, waste products circulating in the bloodstream can quietly change the environment around your nerves, making your skin feel itchy, even when it appears perfectly healthy. If this information is helping you connect the dots, don't forget to like the video. It helps us create more evidence-based content for healthy aging. And sometimes, the next clue doesn't appear on your skin at all. It shows up every time you sit down to enjoy a meal. 6. Food doesn't taste quite right anymore. Another subtle change I encourage people not to dismiss is when food simply doesn't taste the way it used to. You may find yourself reaching for extra salt or stronger seasonings, or perhaps your favorite meal suddenly has a strange metallic flavor. Many people assume their taste buds are just changing with age, but sometimes the story goes much deeper than that. I don't just think about the tongue when I hear this complaint. I also think about what may be circulating in the bloodstream and how those changes can affect the brain. As the kidneys become less efficient at removing waste products, some of these substances begin to accumulate in the body. Certain compounds can make their way into the saliva, creating a persistent, metallic taste that many people describe as if they were sucking on a coin. Over time, these same waste products can also influence areas of the brain responsible for regulating appetite. Instead of simply changing the flavor of food, they gradually reduce the desire to eat altogether. That's why a metallic taste and a declining appetite often appear together rather than as two separate problems. Think of it like trying to enjoy your favorite home-cooked meal while there's a lingering smell of smoke in the kitchen. The food itself hasn't changed, but your experience of it has. Eventually, you may lose interest in eating, not because you're full, but because nothing seems appealing anymore. If you notice that food consistently tastes different, especially when it's accompanied by an unexplained loss of appetite or weight, don't assume it's just another part of aging. Your kidneys may be revealing changes that deserve a closer look. And while changes in taste can quietly reduce your desire to eat, another common sign often affects something even more noticeable: your energy. 7. You're more exhausted than your activity level. Explains, one of the most overlooked warning signs isn't feeling tired after a long day. It's feeling unusually worn out after doing very little at all. Perhaps climbing a single flight of stairs leaves you needing to catch your breath. Carrying a few grocery bags feels harder than it used to. Or you wake up in the morning already feeling as though you've accomplished a full day's work. When I hear someone describe being tired after doing almost nothing, I don't automatically blame age. I also think about whether the kidneys are still supporting healthy red blood cell production. Most people don't realize that the kidneys produce a hormone called erythropoietin, often shortened to EPO. This hormone tells the bone marrow to make red blood cells, which are responsible for carrying oxygen throughout the body. As kidney function declines, EPO production can gradually decrease. With fewer red blood cells available, your muscles, heart, and brain receive less oxygen, making even simple daily activities feel surprisingly demanding. I like to compare this to a delivery company with plenty of fuel, but not enough drivers. The trucks are ready, the roads are open, and the packages are waiting, yet deliveries slow down because there aren't enough people transporting them. Your body works in a similar way. You may have enough energy stored, but without enough healthy red blood cells delivering oxygen where it's needed, that energy becomes much harder to use efficiently. If you find yourself consistently exhausted, despite getting adequate rest, especially alongside several of the signs we've already discussed, it's worth looking beyond normal aging and considering whether your kidneys could be playing a role. But reduced energy isn't the only clue hidden in your blood. Your body may also begin showing signs that it can no longer repair tiny injuries as efficiently as it once did. 8. Small cuts or bruises take longer to recover. Another change that often surprises people has nothing to do with feeling sick at all. You bump your arm lightly against a table, and a large bruise appears a day later. You brush your teeth, and your gums seem to bleed more easily than they used to. A tiny cut from gardening or cooking takes longer than expected to stop bleeding. Many people assume their skin has simply become thinner with age, but I often look beyond the skin itself and think about what is happening inside the blood. Healthy blood contains tiny cells called platelets, whose job is to rush to the site of an injury and stick together, creating the first layer of a clot. They act like an emergency repair crew, arriving within seconds to seal even the smallest leak in a blood vessel. As waste products build up, because the kidneys are no longer filtering efficiently, these toxins can interfere with how well platelets work. The platelets are still there, but they become less effective at sticking together when they're needed most. Imagine trying to repair a leaking garden hose with tape that has lost its adhesive. You can wrap the tape around the leak, but it simply doesn't hold as firmly as it should. In a similar way, Your body's first response to small injuries becomes less reliable, making bruises appear more easily and minor bleeding last longer than expected. Of course, medications such as blood thinners or aspirin can also contribute to easy bruising, so this sign should never be viewed in isolation. However, when it appears alongside several of the other subtle changes we've discussed, it may be another quiet reminder that your kidneys deserve closer attention. And while your blood may reveal one set of clues, your body sometimes leaves another in a place most people rarely think to examine: your skin and your nails. 9. Your skin or nails seem to be changing. Sometimes the clues your kidneys provide are not dramatic at all. They're the kind of changes you notice gradually while trimming your nails or looking in the mirror each morning. Your skin may seem unusually dry, no matter how much moisturizer you use. It may lose some of its healthy glow and begin to look dull or tired. Even your nails can slowly change in appearance, occasionally developing unusual color patterns or becoming more brittle than before. Individually, these changes may not seem important, but together they can reflect something happening much deeper inside the body. I don't look at these changes as problems of the skin or nails alone. Instead, I think about the kidney's role in maintaining the environment that allows every tissue to renew itself. Healthy skin and nails rely on a constant supply of oxygen, nutrients, balanced minerals, and the efficient removal of waste products. When the kidneys struggle to keep this internal environment stable, the body naturally shifts its priorities toward protecting vital organs. As a result, tissues that are constantly renewing, such as the skin and nails, may begin to show subtle signs that this balance is being lost. Think of it like caring for a garden. Even if you continue watering the flowers, they won't stay vibrant if the soil slowly loses the nutrients they depend on. Over time, the leaves become dull, growth slows, and the entire garden reflects what is happening beneath the surface rather than above it. While dry skin or nail changes have many possible causes, noticing them together with several of the other warning signs we've discussed paints a much more meaningful picture of your overall health. And the next clue often appears in a place many people overlook every morning: the area around their eyes. 10. You notice swelling around your eyes in the morning. Many people expect fluid retention to show up around the ankles, but one of the earliest places I encourage people to look is actually the face. If you've ever looked in the mirror shortly after waking up and wondered why the area beneath your eyes seems puffier than usual, don't be too quick to blame a poor night's sleep. While lack of sleep can certainly contribute, persistent morning puffiness may also reflect changes in the way your kidneys manage fluid and important proteins throughout the body. When healthy kidneys are working properly, they help keep proteins such as albumin where they belong, in your bloodstream. These proteins act like tiny magnets, helping hold fluid inside your blood vessels. As kidney filters become less efficient, some of that protein can escape into the urine. Without enough protein to keep fluid in circulation, water is more likely to move into nearby tissues. During the night, while you're lying flat for several hours, gravity is no longer pulling fluid toward your feet. Instead, some of it can collect in the soft tissue around your eyes, making puffiness much more noticeable when you first wake up. I like to compare this to a sponge that slowly absorbs water overnight. You may not notice it happening hour by hour, but by morning, the sponge has become heavier and fuller than it was the evening before. The delicate tissue around your eyes behaves in much the same way because it can hold fluid more easily than many other parts of the body. If this puffiness appears regularly, especially alongside changes in your urine or swelling elsewhere, it deserves more than a passing glance. But sometimes the kidneys send an even quieter signal, one that slowly changes your relationship with food itself. 11. Your appetite has quietly started shrinking. One change that often develops so gradually that people hardly notice it is a slow loss of appetite. It doesn't usually happen overnight. Instead, you may realize you're leaving more food on your plate, skipping snacks you once enjoyed, or simply forgetting to eat because you never really feel hungry. Many people assume this is just another part of getting older, but I believe it's worth asking why your appetite has changed in the first place, rather than accepting it as inevitable. Most people think hunger begins in the stomach, but your brain is actually responsible for deciding when food sounds appealing. As kidney function declines, waste products that should normally be removed from the bloodstream can begin to accumulate. Over time, these substances may interfere with the brain's normal appetite signals. Instead of sending a clear message that it's time to eat, the brain gradually turns down that signal, making food seem less interesting even when your body still needs nourishment. Imagine listening to your favorite radio station while someone slowly lowers the volume one notch at a time. You probably wouldn't notice the change immediately, but after a while, the music becomes so quiet that you stop paying attention to it altogether. Hunger can fade in much the same gradual way. The body's need for nutrition hasn't disappeared, the signal has simply become weaker. If you've been eating less without trying, or family members have commented that your portions keep getting smaller, don't assume it's simply a normal part of aging. When this change appears together with several of the other signs we've discussed, it may be another clue that your kidneys are quietly asking for attention. And perhaps the most surprising sign of all is that some people experience none of these changes at all, even while kidney disease continues to progress silently. 12. You feel fine, but your risk is higher than you think. The final sign may be the most important one because, surprisingly, it isn't really a sign at all. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is believing that feeling well automatically means their kidneys must be healthy. Unfortunately, kidney disease doesn't always follow that rule. In its early stages, the kidneys can continue behind the scenes while gradually losing function, leaving you with little or no reason to suspect that anything is changing. This is especially important if you are living with diabetes, high blood pressure, or if you regularly rely on pain relievers such as ibuprofen or naproxen. Over time, high blood sugar can damage the tiny filtering units inside the kidneys, while uncontrolled blood pressure places constant stress on the delicate blood vessels that keep those filters working. Long-term use of certain anti-inflammatory medications can reduce blood flow to the kidneys, making them more vulnerable to injury, particularly as we get older. Think of it like the foundation of a house. Small cracks can slowly spread beneath the surface for years, while everything above still looks perfectly stable. By the time the walls begin to show obvious damage, the dunur adisi insani. The dunur kiins, atsunder adi nin san saldi rolines, breetim, umberaram sambo probal han salmo, zatanur album has often been there much longer than anyone realized. Kidney disease can progress in much the same silent way. That's why I never recommend waiting for symptoms before checking your kidney health. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, a family history of kidney disease, or you've used NSAID pain relievers frequently for months or years, ask about simple blood and urine tests that evaluate kidney function. Those routine tests can reveal problems long before symptoms ever appear, giving you an opportunity to protect your kidneys while there is still plenty of healthy function left to preserve. Now that we've explored these 12 quiet warning signs, there's one message I hope you'll remember above all else. Your body is not working against you. It has been trying to communicate with you all along. Your body isn't betraying you, it's trying to warn you. After everything we've discussed, I hope you take away one idea more than any other. Your body is not trying to surprise you with kidney disease. In many cases, it's been sending quiet messages for months or even years. The challenge is that those messages rarely look the way most people expect. They don't always come as severe pain or a medical emergency. More often, they appear as small changes that are easy to dismiss because each one seems harmless on its own. That's why I encourage people not to wait until something feels seriously wrong before paying attention. Kidney disease is often called a silent condition, but I don't believe it's completely silent. I think it's more accurate to say that it speaks in a language most of us were never taught to recognize. A change in your sleep, your appetite, your skin, your urine, or your energy level may not prove that you have kidney disease, but those changes deserve curiosity instead of being automatically blamed on getting older. I also wouldn't focus on a single laboratory number, such as creatinine, as the entire story of kidney health. Creatinine is an important tool, but it's only one piece of a much larger picture. Your daily experiences, your medical history, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your urine tests, and the subtle changes your body has been showing you all matter as well. The greatest advantage you have is time. When kidney problems are recognized early, there is often much more that can be done to slow progression and protect the healthy function that remains. Listening to your body's quieter signals today may help you avoid much bigger problems tomorrow. A simple 2-week action plan to support your kidney health. The good news is that protecting your kidneys doesn't have to begin with a major lifestyle overhaul. I always encourage people to start with awareness before making changes. During the first week, simply pay closer attention to your body. Notice how often you wake up to urinate during the night, whether your socks leave deeper marks around your ankles by the end of the day, and whether your urine looks consistently different from what is normal for you. You don't need to obsess over every small detail. The goal is to recognize patterns rather than isolated events. During the second week, shift your attention to the risk factors that have the greatest long-term impact on kidney health. If you have a blood pressure monitor at home, check your readings regularly and keep a simple record. If you're living with diabetes, continue working toward stable blood sugar levels, as both high blood pressure and elevated blood sugar are among the leading causes of chronic kidney disease. If you have a routine medical visit coming up, ask whether it's appropriate to check your estimated glomerular filtration rate, eGFR, and your urine albumin to creatinine ratio, UACR. These two simple tests can provide valuable information about how well your kidneys are functioning, often before noticeable symptoms appear. One more important point: avoid trying to treat yourself with over-the-counter diuretics or products that promise to detox or cleanse your kidneys. Most of these products have little scientific evidence behind them, and some may even place additional stress on the kidneys. If you've been taking NSAID pain relievers, such as ibuprofen or naproxen on a regular basis, it's a good idea to discuss that habit with your healthcare provider to determine whether a safer long-term approach is appropriate. If you found today's information helpful, share this video with someone living with diabetes or high blood pressure. It may help them recognize a warning sign before serious kidney damage has the chance to develop. Your kidneys whisper long before they fail. Before we finish, I'd like to leave you with one simple thought that I hope stays with you long after this video ends. Your kidneys are among the quietest organs in your body. They rarely demand your attention with sudden pain or dramatic symptoms. Instead, they communicate through small, everyday changes that are easy to overlook until they begin adding up over time. You don't have to remember every one of the 12 signs we discussed today. You don't need to become anxious every time you wake up during the night or notice a temporary change in your body. What matters most is understanding the bigger message behind all of these examples. Your body is constantly giving you information, and learning to recognize those quiet signals can help you make informed decisions long before a small problem becomes a much bigger one. If there's one sentence I'd love for you to remember, it's this: your kidneys whisper long before they fail. The earlier you choose to listen, the more opportunities you may have to protect the kidney function you already have and support your health for years to come. If you learned something new today, I would truly appreciate your support. Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments which sign surprised you the most. I always enjoy reading your experiences, and your question or story may encourage someone else to pay attention to a warning sign they might have otherwise ignored. Thank you for watching. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you again in the next video.
Hi, thank you for enjoying our video and stay until the end of video. And if you like to support us, please don't forget to subscribe, hit a like, and share our video to everyone. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment to tell us what you think about this video and give us a chance to chat with you. Thank you.
When the summer heat becomes unbearable, millions of Americans head straight for the swimming pool. But have you ever stopped to ask whether the way you swim to cool down could be affecting your kidneys in ways you never expected? It's an easy assumption to make. After all, swimming has long been praised as one of the safest and most effective forms of exercise after the age of 50. It is gentle on the joints, supports heart health, strengthens muscles, and allows many people to stay active even when walking or running becomes uncomfortable. For millions of older adults across the United States, the pool represents freedom, independence, and the belief that they are doing something truly good for their bodies. But what if I told you that I have met many active adults who faithfully swam several times a week, yet still watched their kidney function slowly decline over the years? Some were shocked to discover changes in their routine blood work, despite believing they had chosen one of the healthiest lifestyles possible. That raises an uncomfortable question. Could swimming somehow damage your kidneys? Or is there a hidden piece of the puzzle that almost nobody talks about? The answer may surprise you. Swimming itself is not the real enemy. In fact, for most people, it remains an excellent form of exercise. The real danger often begins before you ever step into the water and continues long after you climb out. It is the combination of dehydration, exhaustion, poor recovery, certain medications, and everyday habits that can quietly place extra stress on kidneys that may already be becoming more vulnerable with age. That is why this conversation is not really about swimming. It is about understanding how your body responds to swimming after 50 and why the same workout can support one person's health while becoming an unnecessary burden for someone else. Once you understand the biology behind these differences, many common health myths suddenly stop making sense. If you enjoy learning the science behind healthy aging, explained in a simple and practical way, consider subscribing to the channel so you won't miss our future conversations. Now, before we talk about the mistakes that can silently increase pressure on your kidneys, we first need to understand one important question. Why does swimming affect the kidneys differently from many other forms of exercise? Why swimming feels different to your kidneys? One of the questions I hear most often is, if swimming is considered one of the healthiest forms of exercise after 50, why would anyone even connect it to kidney problems? It is an important question, and before we answer it, I'd like to share a story that perfectly illustrates why this topic deserves more attention. Several years ago, a news report from China described the heartbreaking case of a 39-year-old man who appeared to be doing everything right. He exercised regularly, rarely missed his evening swimming sessions, paid close attention to his diet, and believed that staying physically active was one of the best investments he could make in his health. Yet he unexpectedly developed severe acute kidney failure and did not survive. According to the report, those who later reviewed his daily routine reached a surprising conclusion. Swimming itself was never the real problem. Instead, it was the combination of exhausting late-night workouts after stressful workdays, inadequate hydration, excessive protein intake, chronic sleep deprivation, and frequent use of pain relievers that gradually placed more and more stress on his kidneys until his body could no longer compensate. Whether your daily routine looks like his or not, the lesson is remarkably universal. Kidneys rarely fail because of one single decision. More often, they are affected by many small habits that seem harmless on their own, but become far more powerful when repeated together over months or even years. This brings us to an important question. Why does swimming seem to reveal these problems more than many other forms of exercise? Your kidneys may each be only about the size of your fist, but they are among the hardest working organs in your body. According to the National Kidney Foundation, although they account for less than 1% of your body weight, they receive about 20% of the blood pumped by your heart while you are at rest because healthy filtration depends on a constant blood supply. Think of them as an advanced water treatment plant. Without a steady flow of water, even the most sophisticated filtration system cannot perform efficiently. Swimming creates several temporary changes at the same time. Water pressure shifts blood throughout the body. Cooler water may narrow blood vessels, working muscles demand more oxygen, and many swimmers gradually become dehydrated without realizing it because they rarely feel thirsty in the pool. None of these changes automatically damage healthy kidneys. However, when they overlap with aging, dehydration, high blood pressure, diabetes, frequent NSAID use, or existing kidney disease, they can place extra strain on an organ that may already be working harder than you realize. That is the perspective I hope you remember throughout this video. Swimming is not the true enemy. More often, it simply exposes weaknesses that have been quietly developing beneath the surface for years. And the first weakness I want to talk about has nothing to do with the pool itself. It begins with the condition your body is already in before you ever step into the water. 1. Never swim when your body is already running on empty. Over the years, I have noticed that one of the most common mistakes has very little to do with swimming itself. Instead, it begins hours before anyone steps into the water. Many adults finish a long workday, feeling mentally exhausted, skip dinner because they plan to exercise first, grab a large cup of coffee to fight off fatigue, and drive straight to the pool, believing they are making a healthy choice. On the surface, that routine sounds disciplined and productive. Underneath, however, the body may already be running on its emergency reserves. After a stressful day, your body is not in the same condition as it was first thing in the morning. Stress hormones, such as cortisol and adrenaline, naturally rise to help you stay alert and keep pushing through deadlines, traffic, and mental fatigue. These hormones are incredibly useful in the short term, but they also signal the body to prioritize survival over recovery. Blood flow is redirected toward the organs and muscles needed for immediate activity, while other tissues receive less attention than they normally would. If you immediately begin a demanding swim without giving your body time to recover or refuel, you are asking it to perform another physically challenging task before it has finished dealing with the stress that came before. I often compare this to driving a car up a steep mountain road after the oil warning light has already turned on. The engine may keep running for a while, and you might even reach your destination without noticing a problem. But every mile driven under those conditions creates more wear than necessary. Your kidneys respond in a similar way. They are remarkably resilient, yet they depend on adequate blood flow, hydration, and energy to continue filtering efficiently. When those resources are already limited, another layer of physical stress simply asks them to compensate even more. Fortunately, this mistake is often easy to prevent. If you plan to swim after work, give your body a chance to prepare instead of expecting it to perform on an empty tank. A light snack about 30 to 60 minutes beforehand, such as a container of plain yogurt, a banana, or a small handful of unsalted nuts, can provide steady energy without making you feel overly full in the water. That simple habit may help your body enter the pool in a much better physiological state. But even if you eat before swimming, there is another hidden mistake that many people never notice, and it quietly places additional pressure on the kidneys without causing any immediate warning signs. 2. The silent dehydration that happens in the pool. Another misconception I hear surprisingly often is, I don't really sweat when I swim, so I probably don't need to drink much water. It sounds logical, and that is exactly why so many people believe it. The problem is that your body does not measure hydration by how much sweat you notice on your skin. Water can be lost in several ways that are much harder to recognize while you are surrounded by water. When you swim, sweat quickly mixes with the pool water, making it almost impossible to tell how much fluid your body is actually losing. At the same time, every breath you take carries a small amount of water vapor out of your body. If you spend an hour swimming, that gradual loss continues with every lap, even though you never feel drenched in sweat the way you would after walking outside on a hot summer afternoon. There is another hidden factor as well. Being immersed in water increases pressure on the body, encouraging more blood to move toward the chest. Your body interprets this shift as having extra fluid available, which often triggers the kidneys to produce more urine. That is one reason many people notice they need to use the restroom shortly after spending time in the pool. I like to compare this to a home water filtration system. Imagine asking the filter to clean water efficiently while reducing the amount of water flowing through it. The filter can still function for a while, but it has to work much harder under less favorable conditions. Kidneys face a similar challenge when hydration gradually falls behind your body's needs. Most healthy kidneys can adapt for short periods, but repeated dehydration, especially in older adults or those with underlying kidney disease, can make that job increasingly difficult over time. One of the simplest habits I recommend is checking the color of your urine before and after swimming. Pale yellow usually suggests you are reasonably hydrated, while dark yellow or amber-colored urine may be a sign that your body needs more fluids. Instead of waiting until you feel thirsty, make hydration part of your swimming routine before, during, and after your workout whenever appropriate for your personal health needs. I'd love to hear about your own routine. Do you usually drink water before swimming, or do you wait until you're finished? Let me know in the comments, because your experience may help someone else who is watching today. But hydration is only part of the story. What many people choose to drink after leaving the pool can place an entirely different kind of workload on the kidneys, and that next habit deserves much more attention than it usually gets. 3. The drink that makes recovery harder for your kidneys. Something else I have observed over the years is that many people pay close attention to what they eat before swimming, but give very little thought to what they drink afterward. That recovery drink may seem like a small detail, yet it can have a surprisingly important influence on how well your body recovers from exercise. The issue is not limited to soda. Sweet tea, energy drinks, and even alcoholic beverages can all work against the recovery process when they become your regular choice after leaving the pool. After a swim, your kidneys are already helping restore the body's normal balance. They are adjusting fluid levels, regulating electrolytes, and filtering the natural waste products produced during physical activity. When a drink contains a large amount of added sugar, your body suddenly has another challenge to manage. Blood sugar rises more quickly, and the kidneys must filter the excess glucose that enters the bloodstream. Energy drinks may add another layer of stress, because they often combine high amounts of sugar with caffeine, which can contribute to further fluid loss in some people. Alcohol presents a different problem by interfering with normal hydration and making it more difficult for the body to replace the fluids lost during exercise. I often compare this to cleaning your house after a busy family gathering. Imagine finally finishing the dishes and mopping the floor, only for someone to walk in wearing muddy shoes and spill another drink across the kitchen. Instead of allowing the cleanup to finish, you immediately create more work. That is similar to what can happen when your kidneys are trying to restore balance after exercise, while also processing large amounts of sugar or alcohol. A much better approach is surprisingly simple. Start with plain water as your primary recovery drink. If you have exercised long enough or intensely enough to lose a significant amount of fluid, an electrolyte beverage with moderate sugar content may sometimes be appropriate, depending on your health needs. For most older adults, however, water paired with a balanced meal containing protein, healthy fats, and fiber is often enough to support recovery without placing unnecessary demands on the kidneys. However, even these beverage choices are not the greatest source of stress I worry about. The next habit is so common that millions of older adults practice it every day without realizing it may quietly place extra pressure on their kidneys over time. 4. More protein doesn't always mean better recovery. Over the past decade, I have watched protein become almost synonymous with healthy aging in the United States. Walk into any grocery store, pharmacy, or fitness center, and you'll find shelves filled with protein powders, ready-to-drink shakes, protein bars, and products promising faster recovery and stronger muscles. There is certainly truth behind this trend. As we age, maintaining muscle mass becomes increasingly important for strength, balance, independence, and overall quality of life. Protein plays a critical role in that process, and I would never suggest that older adults should avoid it. What I do encourage, however, is asking a different question. Do you actually need more protein, or do you simply need the right amount for your body? That distinction matters because more is not always better. Every gram of protein you eat eventually produces waste products that your kidneys help remove from the bloodstream. Healthy kidneys are designed to handle this task remarkably well. But if someone is already living with chronic kidney disease, reduced kidney function, or other conditions that limit the kidney's filtering capacity, consistently consuming excessive amounts of protein may place additional demands on a system that is already working harder than it once did. I like to compare the kidneys to a busy factory. Imagine a factory built to process a certain number of deliveries each day. If shipments increase gradually, the workers may be able to keep up without difficulty. But if truck after truck suddenly begins arriving around the clock, the machinery operates longer, the workers become overwhelmed, and efficiency starts to decline. The problem is not that deliveries are bad. The problem is expecting the factory to process far more than it was designed to handle under its current conditions. For most healthy older adults who swim regularly, prioritizing protein from whole foods such as fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, beans, or lean poultry throughout the day is often more beneficial than relying on large protein shakes after every workout. If you have chronic kidney disease or have been told your kidney function is reduced, your protein needs may be very different from those of your neighbor or your workout partner. Personalizing your intake is far more important than following popular fitness trends. And that brings me to another hidden risk that has nothing to do with food at all. In fact, you may already have it sitting in your medicine cabinet, ready to use whenever sore muscles or joint pain appear after a swim. 5. The painkiller many swimmers never think about. One conversation I find myself having again and again is about sore muscles after exercise. It is completely understandable. After a longer, challenging workout, many people notice aching shoulders, stiff knees, or tight muscles the next morning. Reaching for a common over-the-counter pain reliever feels like the quickest and easiest solution. And medications such as ibuprofen or naproxen have become household staples across the United States. Used appropriately, these medicines can be very helpful. The problem is that many people never stop to consider what else their kidneys are dealing with at that moment. After a long swim, especially if you have not fully replaced the fluids you lost, your kidneys are already working to restore your body's normal balance. If you are older, living with high blood pressure, diabetes, or reduced kidney function, that workload may already be greater than it was years ago. Adding frequent use of NSAID pain relievers on top of dehydration or repeated physical stress can make recovery more difficult because these medications reduce the production of substances called prostaglandins, which help keep blood flowing to the kidneys, particularly during times of physical stress. For healthy people taking these medicines occasionally and as directed, this usually does not create a problem. However, when dehydration, aging, chronic health conditions, and repeated NSAID use overlap, the kidneys may have much less room to adapt. I often explain this with a simple example. Imagine a water treatment plant that depends on a steady flow of water to keep every filter working properly. Now imagine someone partially closes the main supply valve. The filters are still there, and the workers are still doing their jobs, but the entire system has to function with less water moving through it. That is similar to what can happen when kidney blood flow is reduced during periods of increased physical demand. My advice is not to fear these medications or avoid them at all costs. Instead, use them thoughtfully. If muscle soreness becomes a regular reason for taking pain relievers after swimming, it is worth asking why the soreness keeps returning. Improving hydration, allowing enough recovery time, adjusting workout intensity, and discussing long-term pain management with your healthcare professional may protect your kidneys far better than simply reaching for another pill. And finally, there is one more factor that many people underestimate. It costs nothing, requires no prescription, and is when your kidneys perform some of their most important recovery work. Unfortunately, it is also the first thing many adults sacrifice when life becomes busy. 6. Your kidneys. Recover while you sleep, not while you exercise. One of the biggest misconceptions about healthy aging is the belief that all of the benefits come from the workout itself. Exercise is certainly important, but it is only half of the equation. The other half happens quietly, behind the scenes, while you are sleeping. That is when your body shifts its priority from performance to repair, and your kidneys are part of that remarkable recovery process. Throughout the day, your kidneys work continuously without taking a break. They filter waste products, regulate fluid balance, help control blood pressure, and maintain the delicate balance of minerals that every cell depends on. Swimming, walking, or any other form of physical activity temporarily increases the amount of work they must perform. During a good night's sleep, however, your body begins restoring balance. Stress hormone levels gradually decline, tissues repair themselves, inflammation is better regulated, and many of the systems that were working hard throughout the day finally have an opportunity to recover. Consistently cutting sleep short means this recovery window becomes smaller and smaller over time. I often ask people to imagine a maintenance crew responsible for keeping an entire city running. During the day, traffic is heavy, businesses are open, and there is little opportunity to repair roads, inspect bridges, or replace damaged equipment. Most of that work happens overnight, when the streets are quieter and the city can safely restore what has been worn down. Your body operates in much the same way. If the maintenance crew is sent home before finishing its job every night, small problems gradually accumulate until they become much more difficult to fix. Your kidneys are no different. They are incredibly resilient, but they also depend on regular recovery to continue functioning efficiently year after year. One of the most valuable habits you can build is treating sleep as part of your training plan, rather than something that happens after it. Aim for a consistent bedtime, allow yourself enough hours to recover, and avoid thinking of sleep as time that could be better spent working, watching television, or scrolling on your phone. Those extra hours rarely improve your health, but adequate sleep often does. If you're enjoying learning how the body really changes after 50 and how small daily habits can protect your long-term health, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. We'll continue exploring the science of healthy aging in ways that are practical, evidence-based, and easy to apply in everyday life. A simple kidney-friendly swimming routine. After 50, before you get into the pool, prepare your body instead of expecting it to instantly perform. Drink water before your swim rather than waiting until you feel thirsty, since thirst is often a late sign that your body is already catching up. Have a light snack about 30 to 60 minutes beforehand, such as plain Greek yogurt, a banana, or a small handful of unsalted nuts, so your muscles and kidneys have the energy they need to work efficiently. If you have a fever, diarrhea, or you're recovering from an illness, give your body permission to rest. The same applies after an unusually exhausting day at work or following a night of very little sleep. Missing one workout is far less harmful than forcing your body through exercise when it is already struggling to recover. While you're swimming, pay attention to how your body feels instead of focusing only on finishing a certain number of laps. If you become dizzy, unusually weak, or short of breath, stop and rest. There is no prize for pushing through warning signs, and listening to your body is often one of the smartest health decisions you can make. After your swim, make recovery your priority. Rehydrate with water, eat a balanced meal containing a moderate amount of high-quality protein, and avoid making sugary soft drinks your regular recovery beverage. If muscle soreness tempts you to reach for NSAID pain relievers, pause for a moment and consider whether you truly need them, especially if you have reduced kidney function or haven't discussed regular use with your healthcare professional. Finally, think beyond today's workout. Every week, give your body time to recover with at least one lighter day. Monitor your blood pressure regularly, and if you're living with chronic kidney disease or have been told your kidney function is reduced, stay consistent with your scheduled laboratory tests and follow-up appointments. Small habits practiced week after week are what protect your kidneys for years to come, not one perfect workout. If you found this video helpful, I would truly appreciate it if you gave it a like. If swimming is one of your favorite ways to stay active, leave a comment below and simply write, "I love swimming." I'd love to know how many swimmers are part of our community. And if you believe someone in your family or a friend could benefit from what you've learned today, please share this video with them. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and join me for more evidence-based conversations that help you understand how your body changes after 50 and how simple, practical habits can help you stay healthy, active, and independent for many years to come. If you remember only one message from today's video, let it be this: no sport, including swimming, automatically destroys a healthy kidney. What truly makes the difference is how you prepare your body before exercise, how you recover afterward, and the small daily habits you repeat over months and years. Those habits quietly shape your health long before you ever notice a symptom. After the age of 50, your kidneys are not asking you to give up the activities you enjoy. They are simply asking for a little more support, a little more recovery, and a little more respect for the way your body has changed with time. Swimming can still be one of the greatest gifts you give yourself. It can strengthen your heart, preserve your muscles, improve your balance, and bring peace to your mind. The key is stepping into the water with a body that is properly nourished, well hydrated, and ready for the challenge, not one that is already exhausted before the first
Thank you
stroke.
for watching the video. Don't forget to follow the channel and share the video with others and leave the feedback in the comment below.
Have you ever woken up one morning, looked in the mirror, and felt that something just wasn't right? Your face looks more tired, the dark circles under your eyes are deeper, and your body feels heavy as if it's carrying something silently happening inside. Many people assume it's just a sign of aging, but the chilling truth is it might be the cry for help from kidneys that are slowly wearing out day by day. The kidneys don't scream. They quietly drain the life out of your body until one day your doctor looks at you with concern and says your creatinine level has crossed the safe limit. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, over 37 million Americans are living with chronic kidney disease without even knowing it. In the early stages, it's easy to overlook just a little fatigue, some dry mouth, occasional trouble sleeping. But as the disease progresses, toxins start to build up, your blood becomes impure, your legs swell, your breath takes on an ammonia-like odor, your skin darkens, and your body feels unusually cold. In the late stage, when creatinine levels rise and the kidneys stop functioning, every breath you take carries fear, the fear of losing your independence and relying completely on treatments to stay alive. What's most frightening is that the cause isn't always medication or genetics. Often it comes from the very meals we eat every day. In this video, I'll show you 6 protein sources scientifically proven to lower creatinine levels, quickly purify your blood, and naturally restore kidney function. Watch until the end because you'll be surprised to learn that one of the most familiar foods on your table could be the key to saving your kidneys. If you truly care about your health, give this video a like because sometimes a single small click is the first step towards saving the life within you. 1. Unsweetened soy milk. In Japan and South Korea, where many seniors remain strong and sharp, well into their 90 seconds, there's a quiet habit passed down through generations. Every morning they drink a warm cup of unsweetened soy milk with a gentle aroma. This simple drink is in fact a powerful ally for kidneys fighting against time. The most valuable component of soy milk is isoflavone, a natural compound that reduces inflammation and protects kidney cells from oxidative damage. When the kidneys are inflamed, blood filtration slows down, toxins build up, and creatinine levels begin to rise. Isoflavone helps block inflammatory enzymes in kidney tissues while improving the filtration capacity of the glomeruli, allowing creatinine levels to drop naturally without strong medications. A large-scale study from Kyoto University, published in 2022 under the title Soy and Renal Function Study, followed 1,342 patients with early-stage kidney disease for 10 weeks. The results were remarkable. The group that drank unsweetened soy milk daily saw an average 12% decrease in creatinine levels and a significant increase in glomerular filtration rate compared to those who didn't. However, the benefits of soy milk only appear when it's used correctly. Seniors should choose pure soy milk with no sugar, no artificial flavoring, and never mix it with condensed milk or honey. When preparing it at home, heat the soy milk to 85 degrees Celsius for about 5 minutes. This temperature destroys trypsin enzyme, helping your body absorb protein more efficiently while avoiding bloating or indigestion. Don't let it boil over, as many of the valuable compounds will be destroyed. The best time to drink soy milk is while it's warm in the morning or about an hour before bedtime, when your kidneys can rest in a calm metabolic state. But be careful. If you think soy milk alone is enough, you're mistaken. There's another food seemingly ordinary that holds an even stronger source of protein capable of lowering creatinine faster, and yet most people completely overlook it. Don't be the last to find out. Subscribe now so we can move on to the second secret, where a forgotten gem is waiting for you to discover it. 2. Lentils. When people talk about protein, they often think of beef, eggs, or cheese, forgetting one humble food that once saved millions of lives in India during nutritional crises: lentils. These tiny seeds are not only fuel for the heart but also a superfood that helps the kidneys recover their ability to filter blood, remove toxins, and rebalance creatinine levels. The key nutrient in lentils is arginine, a special amino acid that expands blood vessels, improves blood flow to the kidneys, and reduces filtration pressure. When circulation improves, kidney cells receive more oxygen and nutrients, helping them work more efficiently and remove excess creatinine faster. Arginine also supports the production of nitric oxide, a molecule that relaxes blood vessels and reduces oxidative stress, the main cause of kidney damage in older adults. I still remember the lentil CKD project by the American Kidney Institute, which I had the opportunity to participate in. More than 1,085 patients with early-stage kidney disease were divided into two groups. One consumed lentils 3 times a week and the other continued their usual diet. After 8 weeks, the lentil group saw an average drop of 0.3 mg/dl in creatinine, a difference significant enough to improve kidney filtration rate. To absorb lentil nutrients most effectively, older adults should follow a simple yet rarely practiced tip in the U.S. Soak lentils in warm water mixed with 2% apple cider vinegar for at least 4 hours before cooking. This removes phytic acid, a compound that blocks the absorption of iron, zinc, and magnesium, and softens the beans for easier digestion. When cooking, use low heat and add a bit of olive oil to enhance arginine absorption and reduce bloating. Eat lentils 3 times a week as a replacement for red meat in one main meal, and you'll notice a difference within weeks. But don't celebrate just yet. If you stop here, you'll miss a protein source so familiar yet so powerful that American cardiologists now call it the golden key to restoring both kidney and muscle function in seniors. Give this video a like, because the next part might just change how you look at everything you eat. 3. Low-sodium cottage cheese. During a television talk show, the well-known physician Dr. John Montgomery once said something that made the entire audience fall silent. Seniors don't need to give up cheese. They just need to choose the right kind. And that cheese is cottage cheese, the low-sodium, high-purity protein food considered a special nutritional gift for kidneys that are weary with age. What makes cottage cheese truly unique is its rich content of casein protein. This is a slow-digesting protein that provides a steady stream of amino acids for hours, helping to maintain and rebuild muscle tissue around the kidneys, an area directly affected when blood filtration declines. Casein also helps reduce muscle breakdown, which in turn lowers endogenous creatinine production, the very compound that forces your kidneys to work harder. A 2021 analysis by Harvard Health Review involving more than 1,500 adults over age 60 with chronic kidney disease revealed striking results. Those who regularly included low-sodium cottage cheese in their diet experienced up to a 9.8% improvement in blood filtration compared with those who avoided cheese completely. Doctors explained that the lower sodium content reduces water retention and pressure in the glomeruli, while casein creates an ideal environment for kidney tissue regeneration and improved microcirculation. To maximize its benefits, seniors should choose products labeled low sodium or no salt added, containing less than 120 milligrams of sodium per 100 gram serving. A small trick recommended by nutrition experts is to mix cottage cheese with a teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. Olive oil's monounsaturated fats enhance the absorption of casein while reducing chronic inflammation in kidney tissues. You can enjoy this mixture for breakfast with whole grain bread or a few slices of ripe tomato to support both kidney and heart health. If you're lactose sensitive, choose naturally fermented cottage cheese, as it contains probiotics that make digestion much easier. But remember, if you still consume regular cheese loaded with salt and saturated fat, your kidneys won't hold up for long. Before we continue, leave a comment below if you've ever tried cottage cheese, because the next part will reveal the secret behind the cleanest protein that doctors trust most. 4. Grilled chicken breast. Some dishes are so simple that we forget they carry silent healing power. Grilled chicken breast is one of them. For older adults, every meal is not just about filling the stomach, but also about nourishing the kidneys, heart, and muscles that gradually fade with time. Grilled chicken breast stands out as a symbol of pure strength. No fancy preparation, no complex seasoning, Just a golden piece of chicken breast, a hint of rising steam, a gentle aroma, and your body feels renewed with every bite. The most valuable component in chicken breast is its lean protein, the purest and most easily absorbed form of nutrition for older bodies. A 100-gram serving of grilled chicken breast provides about 1 gram of protein with almost no saturated fat or bad cholesterol. This protein helps repair damaged tissues, preserve muscle mass, and most importantly, reduce kidney strain by limiting the buildup of urea and creatinine. Research from the National Institute of Nutrition in the United States found that seniors who follow diets rich in lean proteins like chicken breast maintain more stable levels of creatinine and urea, up to 23% better than those who consume red meat frequently. Chicken breast also contains vitamin B6 and niacin 2 nutrients, essential for energy metabolism, better circulation, and relief from the fatigue and weakness that often accompany kidney problems. To make the most of this food, grill chicken breast in an oven or air fryer at 180 degrees Celsius for 15 to 20 minutes. Avoid marinating with salt or soy sauce. Instead, use a bit of olive oil and garlic powder. Serve it with a green salad or quinoa to balance protein, fiber, and minerals. Limit intake to no more than 150 gram per day to prevent kidney overload. If you overlook this seemingly simple dish, you might be missing one of the most valuable opportunities to protect your kidneys before it's too late. Share this video with anyone concerned about their kidney health, because sometimes one properly grilled piece of chicken breast today could be the first step towards saving your health tomorrow. And don't go anywhere, because next we'll uncover another source of protein, a true gift from nature for those with fragile kidneys. 5. Macadamia nuts. Some nuts may look small and unremarkable, yet they carry within them an energy powerful enough to transform the body. Macadamia nuts are one such example. For older adults whose kidney function has become fragile, every nutrient that enters the body must be chosen with care. And among countless options, macadamia stands out as a hidden gem that protects the kidneys in a subtle yet lasting way. The special value of macadamia nuts lies in their monounsaturated fatty acids, a type of fat regarded as a natural shield for both the kidneys and the heart. Unlike many other nuts that are high in phosphorus or potassium, macadamia contains extremely low levels of both, allowing the kidneys to rest while still providing energy. These healthy fats also improve insulin sensitivity, stabilize blood pressure, and reduce chronic inflammation within kidney tissues. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism found that individuals who added macadamia nuts to their diet 3 times a week experienced 19% lower kidney inflammation and more stable blood pressure after 12 weeks compared to the control group. The combination of healthy fats, vitamin E, and manganese in these nuts helps reduce oxidative stress, one of the main factors that gradually weakens kidney filtration over time. To fully benefit from them, seniors should eat 4 to 6 macadamia nuts per day, lightly roasted at 120 degrees Celsius for 8 to 10 minutes to preserve their natural oil structure. You can crush them and sprinkle over your morning oatmeal or mix with unsweetened yogurt. This method is easy to digest and allows the body to absorb nutrients evenly without straining the stomach or kidneys. Avoid salted nuts, as even a small amount of excess sodium can raise blood pressure and burden the kidneys. Just a handful of these nuts each day can mark the difference between stability and decline. If you care about your own health or that of your loved ones, share your experience in the comments, because sometimes a real story becomes the guiding light for thousands still struggling to save their kidneys. And stay tuned, because the next section will reveal another protein source, lighter, purer, yet powerful enough to revive every weary cell. 6. Unsweetened yogurt. A cup of unsweetened yogurt a day may seem ordinary, but it holds the restorative strength that aging bodies long for. For seniors, especially those monitoring kidney function, yogurt is not just a snack, it's a biological shield that helps cleanse the body, reduce inflammation, and keep the kidneys working smoothly day by day. The most valuable component of unsweetened yogurt is probiotics, or live beneficial bacteria. These friendly microbes act like a silent army within the body, maintaining balance in the digestive system. As we age, harmful bacteria in the gut can multiply, producing toxins such as urea, creatinine, and ammonia. Probiotics help reduce the formation of these toxins while supporting the liver and kidneys in flushing them from the bloodstream. Research from the National Kidney Foundation in the United States found that patients in the early stages of kidney disease who consumed 150 milliliters of unsweetened yogurt daily for 12 weeks experienced an average 11% reduction in blood urea levels and significantly more stable creatinine readings. Scientists explained that probiotics not only cleanse the gut but also reduce microinflammation in kidney tissues. For yogurt to truly support kidney health, seniors should choose unsweetened low-fat varieties and consume about 100 to 150 milliliters per day. The best time is 1 hour after lunch or dinner when the stomach contains food to help probiotics thrive. You can add a few slices of ripe banana or a small spoon of chia seeds for extra soluble fiber, which enhances nutrient absorption and prevents constipation. Avoid yogurt with added sugar, honey, or fruit jam, as sugar feeds harmful bacteria, increases inflammation, and accelerates creatinine buildup. If making yogurt at home, ferment it at around 40 to 42 degrees Celsius for 8 hours to ensure optimal probiotic growth. Sometimes kidney weakness doesn't come from age itself, but from small habits we overlook each day. If you find this information helpful, hit like to spread it to others who may be silently fighting kidney disease. As we pass the age of 60, every cell in the body begins to demand more mindful care, and the kidneys become the most vulnerable point. Nutrition is no longer just about taste, but a journey of preservation. Each mindful meal not only nourishes the body, but also silently protects the kidneys, purifying the blood, stabilizing blood pressure, and maintaining inner balance. Kidney health cannot be restored overnight. It is the result of countless small choices made daily, from a cup of milk in the morning to the way we keep our minds calm, our sleep complete, and our bodies well hydrated. When we learn to listen to the signals within, we realize that caring for the kidneys is in truth preserving our longevity and independence. The content of this video is intended for general informational purposes about nutrition and health. It is not a substitute for medical diagnosis, advice, or treatment. Viewers should consult a physician or a qualified nutrition expert before making any changes to their diet or lifestyle.
Thank you for watching all the end to the video. And if you enjoy my video, please subscribe and share it to everyone. And please drop your comment below.
Have you ever looked at your swollen ankles, felt exhausted for no clear reason, or found yourself making yet another trip to the bathroom in the middle of the night, only to tell yourself, "I'm just getting older"? What if those changes are not simply a normal part of aging? What if your kidneys have been asking for help long before you ever notice a problem on a lab report? One of the biggest misconceptions about kidney health is believing that if you are not in pain, everything must be fine. In reality, your kidneys are remarkably quiet organs. They can gradually lose efficiency over many years while continuing to perform their job well enough that you barely notice anything has changed. Instead of sending dramatic warning signs, they often communicate through subtle changes that are easy to overlook, especially after the age of 50. The encouraging news is that your daily habits can influence how much work your kidneys have to do, and surprisingly, one of the simplest places to begin is not with an expensive supplement or a complicated cleanse. It starts with understanding the foods that either support your body's natural filtering process or unknowingly make that job more difficult. But here is where many people get confused. They hear that fruit is good for the kidneys, so they simply try to eat more of it. The truth is far more interesting. Different fruits support kidney health in completely different ways. Some help protect the tiny filtering units inside your kidneys. Others support healthy circulation, reduce oxidative stress, or help create a healthier environment throughout the urinary system. Choosing the right fruit for the right reason can make a much bigger difference than simply eating larger amounts. If you enjoy learning the science behind healthy aging, explained in a simple, practical way, subscribe to the channel and join our growing community. Each week, we explore everyday foods and habits that can help you stay healthier, stronger, and more independent as you grow older. So before we talk about the 7 fruits that deserve a place on your table, let's first understand why your kidneys become more vulnerable with age and why these everyday foods can play a much bigger role than most people realize. Why your kidneys need more help after 50. Throughout my years studying nutrition and healthy aging, I have noticed that many people think the kidneys simply act as storage tanks that collect waste until it leaves the body. In reality, they are far more remarkable than that. I like to compare them to a highly advanced water purification system that never takes a single break. Every minute of every day, they carefully filter your blood, remove substances your body no longer needs, return valuable water and nutrients back into circulation, and maintain a delicate balance of minerals that every organ depends on. According to the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, healthy kidneys filter about 180 liters of fluid every day, then reabsorb almost all of it, leaving only a small amount to become urine. That incredible process happens quietly, whether you are working, relaxing, or sleeping. As we grow older, however, this system naturally faces greater challenges. I often explain it like the plumbing in an older home. Even if everything still works, years of continuous use can gradually reduce efficiency. Blood vessels slowly become less flexible. Blood flow to the kidneys may decrease. Oxidative stress builds inside cells, and the body's ability to regulate fluids and important minerals becomes less responsive than it once was. None of these changes usually happen overnight, but together, they can place extra strain on the kidneys year after year. This is exactly where nutrition becomes so important. I do not think of fruit as something that detoxifies the kidneys, because your kidneys are already designed to perform that job. Instead, I see the right fruits as providing the conditions that allow those natural filters to work more efficiently. Some supply powerful antioxidants that help reduce oxidative stress. Others support healthier blood vessels, nourish beneficial gut bacteria, calm low-grade inflammation, promote healthy circulation, or help maintain normal blood pressure. Each of these effects can make the kidney's daily workload a little lighter. What makes this especially interesting is that no single fruit does all of these jobs. Each one contributes in its own unique way, and understanding those differences may completely change the way you fill your shopping cart. Let's begin with one of the most familiar fruits in America, one that quietly supports your kidneys long before waste ever reaches them. 1. Apples. The fiber that helps your kidneys before waste even reaches them. Among all the fruits I recommend to older adults, apples are probably the easiest place to start. They are affordable, available year-round, and already a familiar part of many American kitchens. But what makes apples truly interesting has very little to do with their vitamins. I often tell people that an apple begins helping your kidneys long before those organs ever have to filter anything. The reason lies in something called the gut-kidney axis, a connection that many people have never heard about. Your digestive system and your kidneys are constantly working as partners. When the balance of healthy bacteria in your gut is strong, fewer harmful waste compounds are produced during digestion. That means fewer unwanted substances eventually enter your bloodstream, and less work is left for your kidneys. One of the nutrients that makes this possible is pectin, a type of soluble fiber found especially in the flesh and skin of apples. Pectin acts as food for beneficial gut bacteria, allowing them to thrive while helping create a healthier environment inside your digestive system. I like to compare this to household trash. Imagine reducing the amount of garbage your family creates before the trash truck even arrives. The cleaner your home stays, the less work there is for someone else to do later. Your kidneys benefit in much the same way. When your digestive system produces fewer metabolic waste products, your kidneys can spend more of their energy doing what they were designed to do, instead of handling an unnecessary burden. To get the greatest benefit, I always suggest eating a whole apple rather than drinking apple juice. Most juices remove much of the fiber, including the valuable pectin that supports your gut bacteria. If possible, enjoy the apple with its skin after washing it thoroughly, since the peel contains many of the plant compounds that work together with the fiber. At the same time, try not to make sweetened dried apples a daily habit, because removing the water concentrates the natural sugars, and many packaged varieties contain even more added sugar than people realize. Before we move on, I'd love to hear from you. Do you usually eat whole apples, or do you reach for apple juice instead? Share your answer in the comments below. But if apples help your kidneys by reducing waste before it reaches the bloodstream, the next fruit takes a completely different approach. Instead of working through your digestive system, it helps protect the tiny filters inside your kidneys that quietly clean your blood every minute of the day. 2. Blueberries, tiny berries, powerful protection for kidney filters. Whenever I talk about foods that support healthy aging, blueberries almost always make the list. They may be small enough to fit in the palm of your hand, but I have found that they offer something especially valuable for your kidneys. Unlike apples, which begin by supporting the gut, blueberries work much closer to the kidneys themselves by helping protect the tiny that quietly clean your blood around the clock. Inside each kidney are about 1 million microscopic filtering structures, called nephrons. At the beginning of every nephron is an incredibly delicate network of tiny blood vessels known as the glomerulus. I often ask people to imagine an ultra-fine kitchen strainer. When it is clean and intact, water flows through smoothly while unwanted particles are trapped. But if that fine mesh gradually becomes damaged or weakened over time, it can no longer do its job efficiently. Your kidney filters work in a very similar way. They rely on healthy blood vessels to keep filtration running smoothly day after day. One of the reasons blueberries stand out is their rich supply of anthocyanins, the natural compounds responsible for their deep blue color. These powerful antioxidants help neutralize oxidative stress, a process that can gradually damage cells and blood vessels as we age. By helping protect the walls of these tiny capillaries, anthocyanins may also support healthier circulation within the kidneys, allowing oxygen and nutrients to reach these delicate filters more effectively. While blueberries are certainly not a cure for kidney disease, they can become one simple part of an eating pattern that supports long-term kidney function. The good news is that enjoying blueberries doesn't have to be complicated. Fresh blueberries are an excellent choice, and frozen blueberries retain most of their beneficial nutrients, making them a convenient option throughout the year. What I encourage people to avoid is covering them with large amounts of sugar or turning them into overly sweet desserts, since excess added sugar can work against many of the benefits you're trying to achieve. If you're finding these simple explanations helpful and enjoy understanding why certain foods work instead of simply being told what to eat, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Every week, we explore the science behind healthy aging in a way that's practical, easy to understand, and designed for everyday life. But protecting your kidney filters is only one piece of the puzzle. Even the healthiest filters cannot do their job well without a steady, healthy supply of blood. That brings us to the next fruit, one that helps support the circulation your kidneys depend on every single minute. 3. Grapes. Helping blood reach your kidneys more efficiently. Over the years, I've noticed that most people think about the kidneys as filters, but very few stop to think about what those filters actually depend on to do their job. Before your kidneys can remove waste from the blood, that blood has to reach them efficiently. No matter how healthy the filters are, they cannot clean what never arrives. That's why the health of your blood vessels deserves just as much attention as the kidneys themselves, and this is where grapes earn their place on the list. I like to use a simple example. Imagine a perfectly clean garden hose connected to your yard. Even if there isn't a single blockage inside, your plants still won't receive enough water if the flow is weak. The problem isn't the hose, it's the pressure and movement of the water. Your kidneys work in a remarkably similar way. Every minute, they depend on a steady, healthy flow of blood to deliver oxygen, nutrients, and the waste products waiting to be filtered. As we grow older, however, blood vessels naturally become less flexible, making it harder for blood to move as smoothly as it once did. One reason grapes are so interesting is that they contain natural plant compounds, such as resveratrol and a variety of flavonoids, especially in darker varieties, like red and purple grapes. Researchers have studied these compounds for their potential role in supporting the inner lining of blood vessels, known as the endothelium. A healthier endothelium can encourage the production of nitric oxide, a natural molecule that helps blood vessels relax and widen when needed. Better blood vessel function may promote healthier circulation throughout the body, including the kidneys, giving these hard-working organs a more consistent blood supply to perform their daily filtering tasks. When I buy grapes, I usually reach for red or purple varieties because they naturally contain higher levels of many of these beneficial compounds. I also remind people that grapes are easy to overeat. Sitting down with an entire bunch while watching television can quickly turn a healthy snack into far more sugar than you intended to consume. Instead, wash them thoroughly, place a small portion in a bowl, and enjoy them slowly. That simple habit makes portion control much easier without taking away the pleasure of eating them. Now we've talked about reducing waste before it reaches the kidneys, protecting the filters themselves, and supporting the blood vessels that nourish them. But even with healthy circulation, another essential piece determines how efficiently your kidneys can do their work. The next fruit focuses on something your kidneys rely on every single day: maintaining the right balance of water throughout your body. 4. Watermelon. Hydration is only part of the story. Whenever I mention watermelon, most people smile and say the same thing. It's good for you because it's mostly water. While that is certainly true, I believe it tells only a small part of the story. Watermelon does help keep your body hydrated, but what makes it especially interesting for kidney health goes far beyond its water content. In my experience, many people underestimate how closely hydration and healthy circulation work together, especially after the age of 50. I often compare your kidneys to a carefully designed irrigation system that keeps an entire garden alive. Giving a garden more water is important, but water alone is not enough if the pipes carrying it are narrow or the flow is weak. The plants still won't receive everything they need. Your kidneys work in much the same way. They need an adequate amount of fluid to help carry waste out of the body, but they also rely on healthy blood vessels to continuously deliver oxygen and nutrients to the millions of tiny filtering units working around the clock. This is where watermelon becomes more interesting than many people realize. Along with its naturally high water content, watermelon contains citrulline, an amino acid that the body can convert into arginine. Arginine then helps produce nitric oxide, the same natural compound we discussed earlier that encourages blood vessels to relax and support smoother circulation. Better circulation creates a healthier environment for your kidneys to perform their normal filtering process. Watermelon also provides lycopene, the antioxidant responsible for its bright red color. Lycopene has been widely studied for its ability to help protect cells from oxidative stress, another challenge that gradually increases with age and can affect many organs, including the kidneys. One simple habit I often recommend is enjoying watermelon earlier in the day instead of late in the evening. Because it contains so much water, eating a large amount shortly before bedtime may increase nighttime trips to the bathroom, making it harder to enjoy uninterrupted sleep. A moderate portion during the afternoon or as part of lunch is often a more comfortable choice for many older adults. Before we continue, I'm curious to know your answer. Were you surprised to learn that watermelon isn't on this list simply because it's full of water? Let me know in the comments below. So far, we've explored fruits that support the gut, protect the kidney filters, improve circulation, and help maintain healthy hydration. But sometimes the greatest challenge to kidney health doesn't begin inside the kidneys at all. Instead, it starts in a place that many people rarely think about until something goes wrong: the urinary tract. 5. Cranberries. Keeping harmful bacteria from climbing higher. One lesson I always try to share is that taking care of your kidneys isn't only about what happens inside the kidneys themselves. Sometimes the problem begins much lower in the urinary tract and gradually moves upward if the conditions allow it. That is one of the reasons cranberries have attracted so much attention over the years. Their greatest strength is not that they clean the kidneys. Instead, they may help create an environment that makes it more difficult for certain harmful bacteria to gain a foothold in the first place. I like to explain it with a simple example. Think about a non-stick frying pan. Food has a much harder time sticking to the surface because of the protective coating. Cranberries appear to work in a somewhat similar way. They contain a unique group of natural plant compounds called proanthocyanidins, often shortened to PACs. Researchers have studied these compounds because they may reduce the ability of certain bacteria, particularly E. coli, to attach to the lining of the urinary tract. If bacteria cannot easily stick to those surfaces, they are more likely to be flushed away naturally during urination before they have an opportunity to multiply. This is especially meaningful as we grow older because the urinary tract often becomes more vulnerable to infections. A urinary tract infection does not always remain a simple inconvenience. If left unaddressed, it can increase stress on the urinary system and may eventually affect kidney health as well. While cranberries cannot treat an active infection, they may become one helpful part of an overall life supporting urinary tract health and reducing the likelihood of future problems. When choosing cranberry products, I encourage looking for fresh or frozen cranberries whenever possible, or products with no added sugar. This is important because many cranberry juices and dried cranberries sold in stores contain surprisingly large amounts of added sugar, which can work against your long-term health goals. It's also important to remember that cranberries should never be viewed as a replacement for appropriate medical treatment if an infection is already present. They are a supportive food, not a substitute for proper care. We've now explored how different fruits can support your kidneys through your gut, your blood vessels, your circulation, your hydration, and even your urinary tract. But even when all of those systems are working well, there is another silent challenge that can slowly wear down your kidneys over time: That challenge is chronic, low-grade inflammation, and the next fruit is especially interesting because it may help calm that hidden process from within. 6. Cherries. Calming the silent fire around your kidneys. Throughout my career, I've learned that one of the biggest threats to healthy aging is something you cannot see or feel from one day to the next. It doesn't usually cause sudden pain or dramatic symptoms. Instead, it quietly places stress on tissues throughout the body year after year. I'm talking about chronic low-grade inflammation, sometimes described as a slow-burning fire that never completely goes out. While inflammation is a natural part of the body's healing process, problems begin when it lingers longer than it should. Over time, that constant inflammatory activity can place additional strain on blood vessels, joints, the heart, and yes, even the kidneys. This is one reason I like including cherries in a kidney-friendly eating pattern. Their deep red color comes from natural compounds called anthocyanins, the same family of antioxidants found in blueberries, but cherries offer their own unique advantages. These plant compounds have been widely studied for their ability to help support the body's normal inflammatory response and reduce oxidative stress. Certain varieties of cherries have also been associated with helping maintain healthy uric acid levels in some people. Although uric acid is a normal waste product, consistently elevated levels may contribute to additional stress within the body over time. Supporting a healthy balance may indirectly benefit the kidneys by reducing one source of unnecessary metabolic pressure. I often compare this process to putting out tiny sparks before they become a larger fire. A single spark may not seem important, but if dozens of small sparks continue landing in the same place every day, eventually damage begins to appear. The same idea applies to chronic inflammation. Small amounts, repeated over many years, can gradually affect tissues without attracting much attention. Choosing foods naturally rich in anti-inflammatory compounds is one practical way to help calm that silent process before it has an opportunity to grow. Whenever cherries are in season, I encourage enjoying them fresh whenever possible. Seasonal cherries generally offer the best flavor and nutritional value, making them an easy addition to breakfast, a salad, or an afternoon snack. One habit I suggest avoiding is relying too heavily on dried cherries. Once the water is removed, the natural sugars become much more concentrated, and many commercial products contain additional sweeteners that can reduce some of the advantages you're looking for. At this point, we've talked about supporting your kidneys by reducing waste, protecting delicate filters, improving circulation, maintaining hydration, defending the urinary tract, and calming chronic inflammation. But the final fruit on our list serves a group of people who are often overlooked. It focuses on a problem that can quietly develop over the years without attracting much attention until it becomes painfully obvious. 7. Lemons, the fruit that helps create a friendlier urine environment. After talking about 6 different fruits, you may have noticed an interesting pattern. Each one supports your kidneys in a completely different way. Some help reduce the amount of waste your kidneys must process. Others protect delicate blood vessels, improve circulation, support the urinary tract, or help calm chronic inflammation. The final fruit on our list takes yet another approach. Instead of focusing directly on the kidneys themselves, lemons help create a urinary environment that is less favorable for the formation of certain types of kidney stones. I often compare this to maintaining the plumbing in your home. Even if water flows through the pipes every day, minerals can gradually build up along the inside if the conditions are right. Over time, those small deposits may become larger and more difficult to remove. Your urinary system can face a similar challenge. While not all kidney stones develop for the same reason, one of the body's natural defenses is a substance called citrate. Citrate binds to calcium in the urine, making it more difficult for calcium crystals to stick together and grow into certain types of kidney stones. Lemons are naturally rich in citrate, which is why they have become such a popular topic in conversations about kidney health. Another benefit I appreciate is that lemons often encourage people to drink more water without relying on sugary beverages. Many older adults simply don't feel thirsty as often as they did when they were younger, making mild dehydration surprisingly common. Adding a few fresh slices of lemon to plain water can make it more enjoyable to drink throughout the day, helping support the kidney's normal waste removal process while also increasing your daily fluid intake in a simple, natural way. That said, more is not always better. I usually recommend using lemon as a gentle addition to your routine rather than drinking large amounts of highly concentrated lemon juice. If you have a sensitive stomach, acid reflux, stomach ulcers, or concerns about tooth enamel, extremely acidic drinks may cause discomfort. A few slices in water, or a light squeeze over vegetables or fish is often all you need to enjoy the flavor and potential benefits without overdoing it. Now, we've reached the end of our list. Apples, blueberries, grapes, watermelon, cranberries, cherries, and lemons. Each fruit supports your kidneys through a different biological pathway, reminding us that there's no single superfood for kidney health. Instead, long-term protection comes from combining many small habits that work together over time. Before we move on, I'd love to hear from you. Out of these 7 fruits, which one will you add to your routine first? Let me know in the comments below, because your answer may inspire someone else to take the first small step toward better kidney health. A simple 7-day kidney-friendly fruit routine. Now that we've explored how each fruit supports your kidneys in a different way, the next question is simple. How can you turn this information into an everyday habit without making your routine complicated? I always encourage starting with small consistent changes instead of trying to transform your entire diet overnight. During your first week, focus on one goal. Add 1 serving of whole fruit each day. It could be an apple with breakfast, a handful of blueberries and oatmeal, a small bowl of grapes in the afternoon, or a few slices of watermelon with lunch. Whenever possible, choose whole fruit instead of juice so you receive the natural fiber along with the beneficial plant compounds. If you have not been advised to limit fluids, make hydration a priority by drinking enough water throughout the day and get into the habit of reading food labels to avoid products loaded with added sugar. As you move into the second week, begin rotating the 7 fruits rather than eating the same one every day. This simple approach gives your body access to a wider variety of nutrients and protective plant compounds. At the same time, pay attention to how you feel. Notice whether your energy improves, whether you're waking up less often during the night to urinate, or whether swelling around your feet and ankles changes over time. Small improvements are often easier to recognize when you intentionally look for them. One final reminder is especially important. If you have chronic kidney disease, diabetes, heart failure, have been advised to limit potassium or fluids, or follow a medically prescribed eating plan, talk with your healthcare provider or a registered dietitian before making significant dietary changes. The healthiest plan is always the one that's tailored to your body's individual needs. If you learned something new today, I'd truly appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and if you'd like to keep exploring the science of nutrition and healthy aging in a simple, practical way, be sure to subscribe and join our community. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 7 fruits is already in your kitchen? Share your answer in the comments below. Your experience might encourage someone else to take their very first step toward healthier kidneys and a healthier future. Before we finish, I dry daltsami to leave you with one simple thought. Your kidneys have been working quietly for you every minute of every day, filtering your blood, balancing your body's fluids, and helping keep you alive without asking for recognition. They don't usually complain when they're under pressure, which is exactly why they deserve our attention before something goes wrong. Don't wait until a blood test shows a problem before you begin taking care of them. Some of the most meaningful changes in health don't come from one dramatic decision. They come from choosing one better meal, one healthier snack, and one wiser habit, repeated day after day. You don't have to eat perfectly, and you don't have to change everything at once. Consistency will always accomplish more than perfection.
That's the end of video, and if you think is helpful for you, please subscribing, sharing, and dropping the comment below. Chị cảm ơn ông.
Growing belly, a slightly higher creatinine level on your latest blood test, and the feeling that your body simply doesn't have the energy it used to all stem from the same biological story. At first, those problems seem completely unrelated. One appears to be about weight, another about kidney health, and the last about getting older. But over the years, I've realized that many people spend so much time worrying about each issue separately that they never stop to ask whether they might actually be connected. Every week, I hear from adults over 50 who tell me the same frustrating story. They're eating less than they did years ago, yet the extra weight around their waist refuses to disappear. Their arms and legs seem smaller, climbing stairs feels more difficult, and recovering after a long walk takes longer than it used to. Then comes a routine blood test, and one number suddenly captures all of their attention: creatinine. Within days, many begin wondering whether their kidneys are failing or whether taking creatine could make things even worse. The truth is, those concerns are understandable, but they often focus on only one piece of a much larger picture. Creatinine and creatine may sound almost identical, yet they are not the same thing. More importantly, neither one makes sense unless we first understand what is quietly happening inside aging muscle. As muscle gradually declines, your body becomes less efficient at producing and using energy, your metabolism slows, maintaining a healthy weight becomes more challenging, and everyday movement requires greater effort. That same process can also influence how certain laboratory values are interpreted, making it easy to jump to conclusions without seeing the full picture. If you enjoy learning how the body really works, not through myths, quick fixes, or exaggerated promises, but through practical science you can actually use, I invite you to subscribe and join me each week. Together, we'll explore the biology of healthy aging in a way that's simple, balanced, and easy to understand. Because before we decide whether creatine deserves the praise or the criticism it often receives, we first need to understand the remarkable energy system that quietly powers your muscles, supports your metabolism, and helps explain why aging, belly fat, and creatinine may be more closely connected than most people ever imagine. Your body doesn't just need calories, it needs quick energy. Most people are surprised when I tell them that having enough calories is not the same as having enough usable energy. I've found that this is one of the biggest misunderstandings behind healthy aging. You can eat a nutritious diet, consume enough protein, and even maintain a healthy weight, yet still feel weaker, tire more quickly, and struggle to lose stubborn belly fat. That's because your body doesn't simply need stored energy, it needs energy that can be delivered instantly, exactly when your cells ask for it. Think of it this way, calories are like the electricity coming into your house. They provide the overall energy supply, but they don't instantly power every appliance the moment you switch it on. ATP, or adenosine triphosphate, is more like the battery already inside your phone. The second you press the power button, that battery provides immediate energy without waiting. Creatine works much like a portable power bank. It doesn't create energy out of nowhere. Instead, it helps recharge ATP quickly so your cells can continue working when they suddenly need more power. I've always found this comparison helpful because nearly every part of your body depends on that rapid energy system. Your muscles rely on it every time you stand up from a chair, climb a flight of stairs, or carry groceries. Your brain uses it to support concentration and memory, while your heart depends on a constant supply to keep beating every second of your life. Inside your muscles, creatine is stored mainly as phosphocreatine, a natural reserve that donates energy to rebuild ATP within moments whenever demand suddenly increases. You don't need to remember the chemistry. The important point is that this system exists to keep your body moving efficiently. According to the National Institutes of Health Office of Dietary Supplements, approximately 95% of the body's creatine is stored in skeletal muscle, highlighting just how closely creatine is tied to muscle health and energy production rather than simply athletic performance. As muscle gradually declines with age, this rapid energy reserve becomes smaller as well, which may help explain why strength, recovery, metabolism, and even everyday vitality often decline together. That is why the conversation about creatine has never really been about muscles alone. It has always been about the body's ability to produce energy when it matters most. But if creatine helps produce energy so quickly, why do so many adults begin losing muscle and gaining fat at almost the same time? 1. Muscle is your biggest fat-burning organ, even while you rest. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is that losing fat is mostly about doing more cardio or simply eating fewer calories. That idea sounds logical because when we think about burning fat, we naturally picture running on a treadmill, riding a stationary bike, or taking long walks. Those activities certainly have value, but they don't tell the whole story. What I've learned over the years is that your body doesn't burn the most energy because you have less fat. It burns more energy because you have healthy, active muscle. Think of your muscles as the engine of your body, while body fat is the cargo that engine carries. If you replace a powerful engine with a much smaller one, the vehicle still moves, but it requires less fuel and performs less efficiently. Something very similar happens as we age. Beginning in our 40s and continuing throughout later life, many adults gradually lose muscle without even noticing it. Their weight on the scale may barely change, yet their body composition changes dramatically. Muscle slowly disappears, body fat quietly increases, and everyday movement becomes more difficult. I've found that this shift creates a chain reaction that many people never connect. As muscle mass declines, your body requires less energy throughout the day because muscle is one of the most metabolically active tissues you have. With fewer muscles demanding energy, your body burns fewer calories, even while you're resting, sleeping, or sitting in a chair reading a book. If your eating habits stay about the same, while your daily energy needs slowly decrease, those extra calories have to go somewhere. Over time, they're much more likely to be stored as body fat, especially around the abdomen. This is also where creatine becomes part of a much bigger conversation than simply building muscle. Healthy muscle depends on rapid energy to contract, recover, and adapt. Creatine helps support that rapid energy system, but only when your muscles are being challenged through regular movement and strength training. I've always encouraged people to think of these three habits as partners, rather than separate strategies. Adequate protein provides the building materials, resistance exercise tells your muscles to keep growing stronger, and creatine helps replenish the quick energy needed to support that process. Remove any one of those pieces, and the system becomes less effective. One important point is worth remembering. Creatine is not a substitute for exercise. Taking a supplement while remaining inactive is a little like filling the gas tank of a parked car. The fuel is there, but the engine still has to be turned on before it can do its job. Have you noticed that maintaining your weight became harder after 50, even though you're eating about the same? Let me know in the comments because I'd love to hear about your experience. But muscles aren't the only tissues that depend on rapid energy. The organ that surprises most people may actually be using far more of it than they ever imagined. 2. Your brain uses more energy than you think. Another idea that surprises many people is that creatine isn't just connected to muscles. Over the years, I've found that one of the most overlooked parts of this conversation is the brain. Although it makes up only a small percentage of your body weight, your brain is constantly consuming energy every second of the day. It never truly takes a break. Whether you're remembering a name, following a conversation, making decisions, maintaining your balance, or simply concentrating on a book, billions of brain cells are continuously producing and using ATP to keep those processes running smoothly. As we grow older, however, the demands placed on this remarkable system often increase. I've seen many adults describe the same experience. They sleep fewer hours than they used to, deal with ongoing stress, recover more slowly after busy days, and notice that mental fatigue seems to arrive much earlier than it once did. These changes don't necessarily mean the brain is failing. In many cases, they simply reflect that maintaining normal function requires more effort than before. Just like an older car may still drive well, but work harder climbing the same hill, the aging brain often needs to manage its energy more carefully. One comparison I like to use is a backup generator. Imagine your home suddenly needs extra electricity because several large appliances are running at the same time. A reliable generator helps supply additional power during those moments of higher demand, allowing everything to continue operating smoothly. Creatine works in a similar way inside the body's rapid energy system. Rather than stimulating the brain or creating new energy, it helps recycle ATP more efficiently so cells can respond quickly when energy demands suddenly rise. That's why researchers continue to study creatine as a nutrient involved in cellular energy support, especially during periods of greater physical or mental demand. It's important to keep this idea in perspective. A healthy brain doesn't automatically require additional creatine simply because a person is getting older. Energy needs vary from one individual to another depending on lifestyle, activity level, diet, sleep quality, and overall health. That's why I always encourage people to build the strongest possible foundation before thinking about any supplement. Prioritize consistent sleep, stay well hydrated, move your body every day, and include regular strength training, along with a balanced diet. Those habits support the same energy system that creatine is designed to assist, and without them, no supplement can do the heavy lifting on its own. The next connection surprises many people because it explains why losing muscle often makes losing fat even harder. 3. Why losing muscle makes belly fat easier to gain. Something I've noticed time and time again is that many adults become discouraged because they believe they're doing everything right. They're eating smaller portions, trying to avoid desserts, and even walking more often, yet the fat around their waist continues to grow. It's easy to assume that the problem is a lack of willpower or simply a slower metabolism. In reality, one of the biggest changes may be happening where they can't see it at all, inside their muscles. I've found that body composition tells a much more important story than body weight alone. Two people can step on the scale and weigh exactly the same, yet one has more muscle and less body fat, while the other has gradually replaced muscle with fat over the years. The scale treats those two bodies as identical, but biologically, they function very differently. This is why focusing only on body weight can sometimes hide the changes that matter most. A simple way to picture this is to imagine your muscles as a large warehouse. Every time you eat, especially foods containing carbohydrates, your body needs somewhere to store and use that incoming energy. Healthy muscle acts like a spacious, well-organized warehouse that eagerly accepts glucose and puts it to work, but as muscle mass gradually declines with age, that warehouse becomes smaller, there is less storage space and less demand for incoming fuel. Over time, the body's sensitivity to insulin can begin to decline, making it more difficult for glucose to move efficiently into muscle cells. Instead of being used for movement and daily activity, more of those extra calories are likely to be stored as body fat, particularly around the abdomen. This helps explain why losing muscle and gaining belly fat often happen together rather than separately. They are not two unrelated problems, they're often different signs of the same underlying shift in body composition and energy metabolism. That's also why preserving muscle is about much more than looking stronger. It plays an important role in helping your body manage energy more efficiently throughout the day. One habit I consistently recommend is adding resistance training 2 or 3 times each week. It doesn't have to involve heavy weights or long workouts. Resistance bands, bodyweight exercises, light dumbbells, or simple chair-assisted movements can all provide the signal your muscles need to stay active. Combined with adequate protein and, when appropriate, creatine, these habits work together to support healthy muscle over time. Perhaps the most important lesson I've learned is this: the number on your bathroom scale does not tell you how much muscle you've kept or how much body fat you've gained. Weight and body composition are not the same thing, and understanding that difference can completely change the way you measure progress. If this connection between muscle and belly fat surprised you, take a moment to press the like button. It helps more people discover information that could change the way they think about healthy aging. But aging affects more than muscles and metabolism. It also changes how quickly your body recovers. 4. Recovery is the hidden key to healthy aging. Another important lesson I've learned is that healthy aging isn't determined only by how hard you exercise. Just as important is how well your body recovers afterward. Many people assume that if they feel sore or tired for 2 or 3 days after a workout, it's simply because they're getting older. Age certainly plays a role, but that's only part of the story. Recovery is actually an active biological process that requires an enormous amount of energy, and without enough available energy, your body struggles to repair, rebuild, and adapt. Think about what happens after a strength workout, or even a long day of gardening, walking, or carrying heavy grocery bags. Tiny amounts of stress are placed on your muscles. That isn't a bad thing. In fact, it's exactly what encourages your body to become stronger. But improvement doesn't happen during the activity itself. It happens afterward, when your body begins repairing those muscle fibers and preparing them to handle similar challenges more efficiently the next time. Every step of that repair process depends on ATP, the rapid energy currency we've been talking about throughout this video. One comparison I often use is a road repair crew. Imagine a busy highway that develops small cracks every day from constant traffic. If the repair crew arrives each night with enough workers, equipment, and materials, those cracks are fixed before they become dangerous potholes. Traffic continues moving smoothly, and the road remains strong for years. But if the crew has fewer resources or can't keep up with the workload, the damage slowly accumulates. Small cracks become larger, repairs take longer, and eventually the road begins to deteriorate. Your muscles recover in much the same way. The better your body can restore energy and repair tissue, the better it adapts to everyday physical demands. This is why I encourage people to think beyond exercise alone. Recovery is supported by several habits working together. Eating enough high-quality protein after physical activity gives your muscles the building blocks they need to repair themselves. Prioritizing consistent, restorative sleep allows many of the body's repair processes to occur efficiently overnight. And when creatine is appropriate for an individual, taking it consistently, not occasionally, helps maintain the rapid energy system that supports those recovery processes over time. None of these habits works as well in isolation. Together, they create an environment where your body can adapt instead of simply wearing down. One important thing to remember is that recovery naturally becomes slower with age. That doesn't mean improvement is impossible. It simply means your body often needs more intentional support than it did 20 or 30 years ago. Understanding that difference can help replace frustration with realistic expectations and smarter daily habits. There is one final reason creatine has attracted so much attention in aging research, and it has less to do with muscles than most people realize. 5. Creatine isn't an anti-aging pill, it's an energy partner. Perhaps the biggest misunderstanding I'd like to clear up is this: creatine is not an anti-aging pill. It cannot stop the clock, reverse the aging process, or guarantee a longer life. I've seen many products marketed with promises that sound almost too good to be true, and that's exactly where unrealistic expectations begin. Healthy aging has never depended on a single supplement. Instead, it depends on supporting the biological systems that naturally become less efficient over time, and that's where creatine has earned so much scientific attention. What fascinates me is that creatine doesn't work by forcing your body to do something unnatural. Instead, it supports one of the most fundamental processes in human biology, the rapid regeneration of ATP, the energy your cells need every moment of the day. Because nearly every movement, every muscle contraction, and every repair process depends on ATP, maintaining that energy system becomes increasingly important as we grow older. This is why creatine research extends far beyond athletic performance. Scientists are interested in how supporting cellular energy may help maintain muscle function, physical performance, and recovery as the body ages naturally. One comparison I often share is that creatine is like a backup battery for your home. A backup battery doesn't replace the electrical grid, nor does it generate unlimited power. What it does is provide reliable support when demand suddenly increases or when your primary energy supply needs extra assistance. Your body works in a similar way. Good nutrition provides the raw materials. Sleep restores many of the systems that keep you healthy. Physical activity tells your muscles to stay active